WMB1 Radio, your urban music link.
Welcome to WMB1 Radio and Straight to the Point Sports, where we're here on this Thursday, first Thursday of January 2024. And I'm with the same old cats, Sarah Consacio and Steve Lopes.
What's up, everybody?
All right now.
All right, so listen, we need to get straight to the point, straight to the point, straight to the sports. That is. So what we're gonna do real quick is we're gonna review Week 17 NFL, preview Week 18 because there's a lot of playoff implications going on in the NFL. Lot of spots still open, including the number 2 spots in each conference. All right, we know who the number 1s are, but the number 2 down can change dramatically. So we're gonna touch upon that. Also, we got to talk about the college football semi-playoffs. All right.
Time it lived up.
That's right. The college football semi-playoffs. We got to talk about both games ended on the last play of the game, which was great. Good to see. No blowouts, which hasn't happened in quite some time. Also, we need to discuss. What do we think about what Florida State did and boycott and with 29 players sitting out against the 2-time defending Georgia Bulldogs? Was it a good look or a bad look for them? All right. And also, if time permits, we'll talk about the top teams and athletes of 2023. All right. So we're going to get straight to the point. We're going to talk about NFL Week 17. And I think we'd be a little remiss if we didn't talk about one game in particular, right?
Vikings, Green Bay. All right, I'll lead.
No.
No, that wasn't it.
What do
Let
you,
me change my notes.
so what are you going to talk about that about a draft position?
Hold on.
You talking about draft position?
Trying to throw me off my points.
Or which quarterback played better?
Which one played worse?
No, which one played worse or river?
Yeah.
And we're only talking about
shuffling them.
and we're only talking about the Vikings quarterback.
Yeah. So no, obviously the talk of the NFL was in particular one game. And we're referring to the Dallas-Detroit game. Saturday night game, the lone game, the matinee game, lone game, the game that was
One with no controversy.
the one that was built up to be, the battle of D's.
And it was a good game.
I loved it.
It was a good game.
I loved it as a neutral party.
It was a good
Didn't
game.
agree with some of the decisions, but
It was a good
loved
game. So I'll be the first to say that we just talked about dumber. I don't know which coach was dumber in the things that they did. Talking about McCarthy throwing the ball 3 consecutive times when he could have ran and forced them to use timeouts. Or can we talk about Mr. Campbell going for 3 consecutive extra points?
And
not one,
not only that,
not two.
not only that, but also in the first half when he went for it
Instead of kicking a
and not
field goal.
kicking a field goal.
Yes, it comes back.
That hurt too.
It comes
Too
back
much
to
of a
kill.
gambler sometimes.
So we all know the elephant in the room was the ineligible man downfield, which we seem to have a lot of different opinions. All right.
There's only really 3 people that know.
Yeah, and it's 4 people.
It's the two offensive linemen that were right there and the ref.
Well, no, I wouldn't even say 2. I'd say 3 because there was a third running in. What was he?
But
So,
he just run. But the whole point is he just running it.
but wait, hold on.
He
So,
never even made contact.
all right,
with
all right,
that ref.
all right. So when was the last time? This is my thing that I went to right away. When was the last time you saw 3 offensive linemen go to and not in the huddle? Typically, there's one. Hear me out on this. Typically, there's one, right? One goes because there can only be one ineligible lineman. Only one, not 2. Okay. So when's the last time you've seen 3 guys run up to the referee?
It doesn't matter.
No. Wait.
You can have the whole team go up to
It
the ref.
causes confusion.
It
You can
causes
but you can have the
confusion.
whole team go up to
Wait
the
a
ref.
second.
But there was only one lineman that communicated with that ref.
But wait, hold on a second. So it was reported that your coach said that he did try to cause confusion.
Yeah.
And in that,
that's what you do in the
and-
NFL.
and
You
in
do
that,
you do that in Pop Warner.
well, wait a second. Trying to deceive the team, but instead you
Confuse the
threw off the ref.
But before the game, before every game, the refs go to each coach and they ask him for specific if they have special plays that they're gonna do before the game.
But that's almost like
There's no almost.
No. But you
It
don't
happens
have to.
every game.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
You
You
don't have to what?
don't have to tell the refs what you're doing.
But the refs ask you.
They ask you because
and this specific ref was told what was gonna happen.
all right. So I see that. Okay. So with the confusion that you try to make, I think you outsmarted yourself. And
I just think that ref is an idiot.
I just think that it was just
Whether you
outsmarted yourself.
outsmarted yourself or not, you have an offensive lineman. In order for the offensive lineman to check in, he rubs his front number. And there was only one guy that was in front of the damn ref that rubbed his chest, that's saying reporting eligible.
Well,
and the guy that he said was eligible, supposedly said he was eligible, number 70, was playing guard.
all right.
You
So
can't be eligible if you're playing guard.
So my thing is, all right. Like I said, I've never ever witnessed three guys or attempted the three guys to go. You say all the guys. You've never seen that. Typically, I know.
I said it can happen.
It can happen, but I've
can
never seen it happen. I've never seen, as many as one guy go up to the ref.
It happens.
And you're saying
that's a big ass.
You're saying it can happen.
That's a big play right there.
You're saying
That's
it
for
can
the game.
happen, but I've
That's a play
never
for the
seen it
game,
happen.
though.
I've never seen. I know it's a play for the game. It's a play for the game, but you do gotta realize. You do gotta realize it didn't have to be a play for the game, right?
But
It could have been a play to tie the game.
But
Which was
if-
the third. That
if
was
the
the
ref-
third time.
if the ref paid attention to his job, he would have known that 68 was eligible, and then the game would have been over.
Well,
And if the Detroit coach realized that after 2 failed attempts, maybe you should kick the field goal and play it safe.
You're right.
So there's
But-
mistakes on both ends. We
but-
can't just blame the ref.
But it shouldn't have came down to them last two plays.
And it shouldn't have come down to somebody saying, I'm going to go for it 3 times. But I was like,
But yeah, see that's the point I'm trying to
yeah,
make.
because
It
you were
shouldn't have
successful on the first
to.
one.
Yes, so it shouldn't
But
have to come to them.
It still caused confusion. So
But-
I'm not saying the confusion call was right or wrong. I'm just saying that was one element, and the coach was the other element. 2 things that could have changed that the outcome of that game. But
Yeah,
regardless,
definitely.
you
But
still had a chance to win, and your coach played a dummy move. Like even if you got jerked, all right.
there's
no
if.
No,
We
no,
did.
no.
There's no
Derek. Now you're being a homer. I'm agreeing
not.
with you. I'm just
I'm
trying
not.
to paint 2
I'm not being a homer,
scenarios,
but-
and you won't look at the second one. I'm just saying,
already did.
even with what happened to Detroit, right, wrong, or indifferent, we can't control that now. You still had 2 other opportunities to say, let me just go. Once I didn't make it the first time and I didn't make it the second time, that third time, I definitely would have said, I'm going to give my team a chance to win in overtime. It was like an omen. Like you got that 2-point conversion called back. Then you had the second turn, and there was another one. You got a third try. After those first 2, I felt like that was an omen. Like you should have just said, let me just get it over with and take my chances in overtime and see how it plays out. So yes, that was a messed up call for Detroit, and I felt bad about it. But I also thought it was a stupid response by your coach.
I trust me. After the second one, I thought he would kick it too, but he didn't. But
Mhm.
he's that type of guy that takes chances.
Yeah. No, nothing wrong with that. I admired him for doing it the first time, though I was a little nervous, but it worked.
And I forget who was Cliffy was sitting next to me. I said it. I said, listen, we scored.
it turned out the way it did for you guys, not for us, but for you guys.
All right.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What to think or how to think of what was going on, but that was how it worked out. It typically worked out that way, and I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that was one of the games, and ultimately it shifted in a way in which it had huge playoff implications because now Dallas has a chance for the number 2 spot, and all they got to
Division
do is
winner.
win, and they clinch the number 2, where Detroit would fall to the number 3 spot.
And
Philly all the way down to
Philly-
5.
Yes, Philly fell all the way down to
Big
5.
drop.
No fault of their own. No
Well,
fault
I
of
think
their own.
whatever team lost was going down to number 5 because you got the
Yeah, 'cause
other division winners.
Yeah, division winners. You can't have you got 4, and then you
yeah,
can't have one.
but Dallas or Philly, whoever don't win the division. Gonna be
Mhm.
fine.
Yes. I was already kind of banking on the Cowboys to be 5 because I thought that Philly was going to win out, and that was going to be the result. But no, it didn't work out.
They fell into the same thing that Dallas had a problem with against Arizona.
Yeah.
Couldn't stop the run.
But as far as the game was played, what were both you guys' perspectives on how your teams? Because I thought that was one of the more exciting games I've seen. Like,
It definitely was an exciting game. The atmosphere was, I think, made it more for me. Where we were all at watching it together, kind of was.
but the fact that Detroit was very competitive on the road, that's what we've been talking about when I always say I put Detroit, Miami, and Dallas in the same realm as far as they're all good teams with great offenses, but they never get a big win on the road. And I thought that was going to be Detroit's chance to break through.
It was.
It
was, but
I thought they had it, but even in a loss, Detroit feels like they can go on the road and win.
Definitely. Now that, like you were saying, even with that loss, I believe the team chemistry and the confidence is gonna build up more.
Yep.
More than what they already had.
And I didn't hear no backlash or resentment from the team players about going for it 3 times. So he might have discussed it with them and said, "You guys want to go for the win right now?
Yeah.
Or you want to try to win it in overtime?" And they were like, "Coach, we're with you."
I want to say that
that's how I see it playing out.
I think they already had it decided even before like before that last drive. If we had a chance to
Now, the only reason that was even a tie, I can't remember. Did they miss an extra point or something?
Who?
Detroit?
No.
Or Dallas? I thought somebody.
No, nobody.
No, nobody missed
Dallas
extra point. Dallas kicked a couple of field goals.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an off number.
Yeah. And I think we kicked 1 field goal
because it was something to 19.
It was 20. It was yeah.
Well, yeah, because if they would have kicked the extra.
But
the thing that surprised me most about you guys is your defensive effort. I was expecting a high scoring game on both ends, and both teams came to play. But Detroit hasn't been known for their defense, but they played well.
No, I think our defense comes to play in the bigger games, except for that Baltimore game.
Minus Hutchinson, he comes up every game. It seems like every time I watch that kid's.
And the crazy part about it is people are talking that he's an overrated number 2.
and cheaper.
Yeah, Laporte.
That's like what we talk about with the quarterbacks, like people, that's like that big controversy in Chicago. Do you start over and reset the clock? I don't, but
no, Fields is still young, man.
yeah, but
He's still young.
he's going to be up for money, so that changes everything.
Yeah, something I look at it this way. Chicago is thinking that, oh, you know what? Because we have the number one pick, just because you have the number one pick doesn't mean you're going to get the best quarterback.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And
just last year speaks for itself.
Yeah. So if I'm Chicago, you have 2 top 5 picks.
Yep.
Oh, no, the second one dropped all the way down to 9th or 10th now.
Is it 9th? Well, who cares?
Yeah, because freaking
because they won.
What you call it was winning.
Yeah. But
Chicago was winning.
Yeah, Chicago won.
Their pick is
Chicago
the second.
won. Yeah,
Carolina's
Chicago
gonna
won.
be number one.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always work out. Let's look at Bryce Young. We can't fairly judge him because of the fact that he has a horrible looking team. But the same case could be made for Justin Fields when he was first drafted.
Yeah.
He had no one.
And look at the addition of DJ Moore alone.
So
they still have the same horrible line.
I would look at it this, if I were grading Justin Fields, I'm looking at the last 2 years, okay? Minus this year where he was injured, but just look at what he's done the last 2 years. And if you put, like you just said, a line, the kid got over 1,000 yards last year with a chopped up line, he was
running for his life
with a bubble gum of a line. Give him an offensive line that is an NFL standard team, of a team, and see what he does. We know what he can do.
Half seconds, a long
we
time.
know what he could do with his feet and how he can extend the play. That is priceless. Can you honestly say any of these quarterbacks that are coming out right now? So every year we know that there's going to be somebody. We can't look at somebody specifically and say, okay, he's going to be CJ Stroud.
Got to be in the right system,
yes,
right place, right time.
Yes. But are you looking at those guys? So are you going to X a guy out that possibly can go to another team and be a possible Pro Bowler because of the fact that you don't want to pay him? Or do you want to go through 3 more years of hardships with a young quarterback?
Again, pretty much doing what you just did again.
That's right. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up floundering and being in the bottom of your conference, the bottom of your division, because you chose to lowball yourself because you didn't want to pay a quarterback. Breaking news: all quarterbacks get paid at some point in time. Okay, all you got to do pretty much is have 2 good seasons, and you're going to get paid.
Key example,
prime
example, Mr. Jones from the Giants.
Breaking news: all you have to do is have 2 good seasons, not great seasons, 2 good seasons, because they're going to say, well, you know what? There's promise there. There's promise there. He can do it if he's given the right situation and the right players around him. So let's invest in him. So, if you were to look at Justin Fields and you would look at Danny Dimes, you could honestly look at them and say, no future. And once again, the Chicago Bears are showing why they've drafted so many quarterbacks over the last 30 years, and none of them have panned out. None of them. If I am Chicago, I would go and seek out, not Jim McMahon, seek out an NFL ex-quarterback, somebody who and I need you to be an advisor, because we have swung for the fence and we have struck out every single time. We have drafted quarterbacks that had no business being drafted where they were drafted. We drafted good quarterbacks and ruined them. And now we've got one sitting at our lap we're probably going to let go. He's going to go somewhere else and right away make an impact and right away be an impact player. And they can't see it. They're trying to lowball, and it's just simple, right? So for Justin Fields, do you think if you were to pay him, what tier of quarterback would you put him in? So we know there's 3 tiers.
I would say
I give him
3.
about 30 million right now.
I'd say 3. I put him in the third tier right now.
Put him in what?
The third tier.
Oh,
Third tier.
I
So
thought-
third tier will get you probably $35 million, $30 million.
Yeah,
30
I'd
million
feel
dollars.
comfortable giving him. 35 would be the top shelf I'd give him.
So let's look at it from the top tier. Top tier quarterbacks are getting 45, 50, right?
And going up.
And going up.
Yeah.
45, 50, all right? So you're still saving on a
And
lot
they
of
got
money.
a ton of money still.
Yeah, but this is my point. They're
So
lowballing.
why be afraid to spend something?
They're lowballing. So basically, what you're saying is, I don't want to pay this guy because he's up for a contract. And let me get this correct. He's coming up on his 5th. He's coming up on
Fourth
his
year.
4th year.
You just
So they
finished
have to
his
make a
third.
decision. They have to make a decision on him. All right. So if I were them, I would say, I would do this. I would say, you know what? We're going to go in on you, okay? But we're going to pay you at the 3rd level tier. All right. And
Which for his second contract's fine. He's still young.
it's nothing. Yes. We're not talking about a guy who's 7
Give him
years
3
in.
years.
We're not talking
So that
about
he can renegotiate.
we're not talking about a guy who's 7 years in. We're talking about a
Yep.
guy who's, he's young.
Pretty
He's a
much
baby.
Injury prone. He hasn't had nothing major.
He's a baby. So they're just nickel and diamond once again.
What you can add to him,
Yeah.
if you add a Marvin Harrison and a Joe Alt or a Fashanu from North Carolina State,
They
the
need,
best offensive lineman and a best
yeah,
receiver.
They definitely need linemen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
you
need-
got the best lineman and the best receiver, and
So you
what
got-
a way to
so-
help him out.
So where do you go? Where do you go with number 1? Do you go with Harrison number 1?
Or
I
I
go-
trade to the number
not-
2.
you're
I
not-
trade to the number 2 or number 3 team, so I know Harrison will still be there.
Yes.
Because
It's all
First 2 are
depending.
going to be quarterbacks.
Yes. It all depends on what team.
Make them think I'm going to take Williams.
It all depends on what team and the need. All right.
They might be doing that. Make people think they want Williams, so people feel like I got to trade up to get him.
So
I don't think Williams wants to play in Chicago.
He mentioned them as one of his places.
Was he?
Yeah, them, New York. I think the Raiders, because he stays on the West Coast. But he named like 5 teams. But he wanted ownership stock. That's
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 not
craziness.
That's not going to
him and his
happen.
black fingernails.
That's not going to happen. I mean, yeah, ownership. You know what?
Too young to be talking.
Listen,
like that.
I understand that you have NIL deals, but you're not getting NFL deals like that.
Mhm.
You got
Not
you got the
right away.
wrong. There's no in the NFL. There is just an F, not an I.
Yeah,
not NIL.
Not-
It's
not only-
NFL.
Not only that NIL deal ends next year for you.
Yeah, you're done. So you amassed, whatever fortune you had while you were in college. That's good. Now you're coming up to the big boy money. All right. And if you think that you're that good where you're going to get ownership in, they're laughing at you out loud, not behind your back, out loud. That's just ridiculous. I know you have dreams and you have, different things that you want to do, but how many quarterbacks have you ever seen do that?
You got guys that are proven themselves bona fide superstars in the NFL that aren't asking for that.
So when Brady won his 6th with the Patriots, did he say, "I want stock or
Yeah.
else"? I want stock or else.
Yeah.
That's the
after
difference
6
with the
Super
old
Bowls.
school people wanting to win first and the new school people
Instant
want to get paid
gratification.
first. Yeah.
Instant gratification.
Without
Why-
earning it.
But this
Instant-
is my thing.
instant
You already got
gratification.
paid in college.
Yes. For them, it's
And you're
instant.
22.
For them,
Anytime
for
you
them,
can.
it's instant gratification. That's all they want. That's all they want to. That's all they want to see. And it's pretty sad that a kid of that age would make a statement like that. Everybody's like looking at him laughing, like the dude hasn't played one down or one snap, and he
Yeah.
wants ownership.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
crazy.
apparently, he hasn't gone to the NFL where, unfortunately, you're going to see many players lose their careers in the blink of an eye. In a blink of an eye, okay? Career-ending injuries happen every day in the NFL. All right, and this guy hasn't played it down, and he wants ownership.
Right,
Okay,
again, how did
yeah.
the Seahawks do?
Okay, they lost to who? They lose to? They lost to
They lost
the
a tight
Steelers.
game.
Steelers,
Yeah,
right?
but they still should have
Steelers.
beat the Steelers. They needed
They
it.
lost to the Steelers.
Backup quarterback again.
They
Hey,
lost.
but there's a reason why I'm asking Raymond again. Why? Because he wants to be a wise ass. Asking-
Yeah, I know. He used to be a Cowboys.
So no, he's a Cowboys fan supposedly, But a couple years ago, when the Cowboys weren't doing so good, he put on my
seen it.
He put on my page. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, no.
So now every time it
seen it.
comes up, I always throw it up there.
Yeah.
So because now he wants to go back to the boys all of a sudden.
But yeah, other games.
I call you out, Raymond.
Other games of note. Can we switch gears and talk about the Baltimore Ravens?
Yo,
That's the other game.
That's the, like
How one-sided.
like literally every top team that Baltimore's played this
They
year,
smashed them.
they smashed them.
them,
Smash
San
them.
Fran.
And I'm
Their
not-
losses against teams they should have beaten.
They
Yes.
lost to the Steelers.
Yep. I think they might have lost to Cleveland once too, but Cleveland had already lost to Sean Watson. And I was
Yeah. It's like they look over them teams.
but I'm going to give Miami a slight pass because they got a rash of injuries to a lot of key players.
Yo,
Yeah, they got banged up against the
Yeah,
Cowboys.
they're really, really
But-
down, but I didn't expect it to
they
be
gave
that
up-
one-sided.
they gave up 56 points.
No, not that's the other side of the coin.
So can we talk about
Nah, you didn't. Right
back-to-back weeks, only giving up 19 points to both
Two high-scoring
both-
offenses.
two high-scoring offenses.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So the prior week they whipped up on San Fran 33-19, and then they did themselves.
And
one
they
better,
didn't have Kyle Hamilton
56-19.
last week in the secondary. He was out. He got hurt in the Dallas game.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, and rightfully so, giving Lamar a lot of credit. I mean, they lost Mark Andrews. They lost their starting running back. So we can talk about Miami, but look at Baltimore's overcome. We hear the success about Cleveland losing Nick Chubb, and the teams that are good have overcome a lot of adversity this year. But Baltimore does this every year, and they play through the injuries. Their running backs get hurt. Their quarterback gets hurt. And somehow, why? Because their defense is always good.
You think it's a high ball system?
Yeah.
Because
Because it sounds like the Patriots, as far as their defense is always good, but they know how to build an offense too. That's the ingredient that Bill Belichick doesn't have in New England. He doesn't know how to fix the offense. But his defense is good, just like Baltimore's is good every year. But to take out somebody like Mark Andrews, oof, and Lamar was in a prove-it situation this year. They lost Dobbins game one. Then they lose Mark Andrews halfway through the year. Two major cogs, and you didn't have an established wide receiver core. They got better as time, but he spread the ball. Bateman didn't really come around. I thought he was going to be the number one. Flowers came around,
Flowers is up.
and now Beckham's playing good.
Yeah, Beckham lost me my fantasy.
Yeah, but he's made more strides from when he first started. Like, he's more confident. He's making bigger plays, and I think that's because of Andrews being out.
All he needed was one catch, bro, and I go to the finals in one of my leagues. One damn catch. He didn't have no catches in the second half. He needed 3 catches for the game.
Yeah, we've all
Yeah, so
we've all hit that bump in the road.
Definitely not a Beckham fan anymore.
We've all hit that bump in the road with our fantasy.
Well, I got to squeeze out one victory for a championship and the playoffs in another, but them injuries.
Yeah, they hurt.
Even in the leagues I did good in, there was people I was missing. I was like, man, that's hard to overcome. But everybody suffered injuries to some extent.
But now let's get back to this Miami thing. They're in trouble.
Oh yeah,
They're in trouble.
Yeah, well,
because they're not getting anybody back.
They just
faced-
lost Chubb
yes,
for the year.
yes,
For the year?
Yes,
For the year.
I knew it was bad. They said they were
He's
expecting
done
the
for
worst.
the year.
yeah, tore his ACL, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And didn't Xavier Howard go out last game?
Yes. And they got a hot Buffalo team coming in looking to try to take that division.
And they already lost Jason Phillips. How much more can that defense lose? Now let's look at offense. Waddle didn't play last week, right?
He was banged up.
Mostert didn't
He was
play?
banged up.
Mostert and
They were-
Waddle.
They were all banged
Two
up.
key cogs.
They were banged up from the Cowboys.
And they lost their center in the Cowboys game. Remember their center, was it Connor Williams? He's gone for the year. He calls the plays on the offensive line. Like, how many different things can you overcome?
They are in trouble.
Yeah, because everybody
Granted,
else is pretty much
Like
healthy.
this game between the Miami and Buffalo.
It goes. This is for the division, and this
And
is for
who you match up with
but
in
hold
the
on,
first
listen.
round.
This is the crazy part. If Miami loses, they go to the 6th seed. If Buffalo loses, they need the Steelers, Jacksonville, and another team to lose. If not,
One of them are out.
and
Yeah, one of them are in tough
and the
shape.
Steelers aren't going to lose because they already
No
said
quarterback for Baltimore.
already- yeah.
But Huntley's good enough to beat them.
Yeah.
that. Yeah, but they're going to pull a lot of their guys.
But
early.
listen,
I saw just the opposite, that only Lamar wasn't playing.
But
yeah, but
listen,
they're going to pull some
the
guys.
Steelers beat them with Lamar
Yes, they did.
already this year.
Yes, they did. Yes.
I
Was
don't know.
that
I don't know
on the
where
road
the game,
or at
I don't,
home?
No,
I don't
no,
know.
it was. I got it right here. I got it right here. They
hell
beat
is that?
they beat him on the which what? They beat him on the road. I don't know. It's a stink bug.
Man.
Just flick it. But yeah, they did beat him. It was a game, I believe, in which they were up by 10 or 11 points,
I think
and they came back.
Out of their losses, they got like 3 losses or
Well, they
something.
had
They
All
blew
came
3 in
back.
the fourth quarter.
a 13 or 14 point lead.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
big leads.
Yes.
Because they were up against Cincinnati too, right? And Cincinnati came back and beat them.
No, it was Cleveland. They were up.
Oh,
They
Cleveland.
were up against Cleveland, up against Pittsburgh, and up against Baltimore. Indianapolis, and lost
Colts,
all those games.
God, them.
All of them, all 3 of them. So yeah, but I honestly can say that Miami's in trouble because I think Pittsburgh's going to win by default. I think Baltimore is going to play.
Well, Miami, it's not Miami. Miami.
No. I know.
Buffalo. If Buffalo wins, they take the division in the end.
Yes.
If they lose, they're in trouble.
Yes. No. Oh yeah, I know that.
Because they'll be on the road somewhere
help.
tough.
They need
No,
help.
Buffalo won't even make the.
Yeah,
playoffs.
they need a lot of.
Oh,
They need help.
Yeah.
They need a lot of help. So they've got.
No matter what, even if everybody else loses.
They need other teams to lose.
If Buffalo loses, they're done.
Because if Pittsburgh loses,
But because the Houston Indy game, whoever wins that is
yeah, they're both up for it. So somebody has to.
So whoever wins that, them two, the winner of that is definitely.
I'm so impressed with both those teams.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's the
year-
game we haven't got to this week, but that's the game I'm looking forward to.
All right, I won't talk about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What up, Cat?
so we were all impressed, obviously, with Baltimore. Not so much impressed with the Buffalo Bills, who kind of
struggled with the
floundered.
Patriots.
Patriots.
Well, hold on. You say struggle with the Patriots. The Patriots' offense is shit, but their defense.
Oh yeah,
No,
they got to talk.
we've already acknowledged that.
Yeah, we already did.
So
But Buffalo's defense couldn't stop a sorry offense.
Yeah.
That's the point.
yeah, they gave up.
Bailey
21
Zappi ended up turning the ball over a few times, but they started off good with that touchdown run right at the beginning.
No, one of the touchdowns was a kickoff return.
Yeah, that was the opening one.
Opening.
Opening kickoff. So they got some momentum.
So their defense gave up 14 points.
But then Zappi did the best he could to give it all back.
Yeah.
Their
Well,
defense
yeah,
gave up
he
14
had two turnovers in 3 possessions.
Yeah.
I think he ended up with 2 INTs and a fumble.
Yeah. So we were all talking about about Josh Allen being crazy hot, and he wasn't crazy hot against the Patriots
No, still a
defense. They
good
know how to play him.
defense.
They know how to play him.
They
Listen,
see him all the time.
in the division, has always given him fits, and to the point where they eked one out. They literally eked one out.
I got a question since we're talking about Buffalo. They changed coordinators. Looked like they started churning a lot better, right? More balance and all that stuff.
They did more running.
Yes, but at the expense of we don't see Mr. Diggs involved no more. So I know his attitude.
Oh yeah, his attitude's changed.
How healthy is his attitude going forward? Because the minute he don't get the ball in this last game or a playoff game, he's gonna become a cancer.
I don't know who at this point, if him or AJ Brown is worse.
Yeah,
AJ Brown is wild.
AJ Brown's a
I haven't
Big-
seen
he's-
as much.
he's
I know
violent.
he compute. I know. I know.
he's
violent.
to a TO.
He's wild
Bad.
now. He's
He turned into
wild out.
a 2.0 TO.
So they obviously
So you'd put him ranked worse than Diggs' attitude?
Yes.
right now,
Yes.
he's
Right now?
very
I haven't
vocal.
followed AJ. I know he said
Yes.
one or two
Very
things. I didn't know
vocal.
he was consistent.
Very
Oh, man.
vocal. Has voiced his
You
displeasure.
don't see him on the field.
His more importantly,
On the
after
field, he's
after
going crazy.
after the game was over against Arizona, he went into the locker room and was
the
just,
coach.
he went and listen, man, you got to do something different. No shit, Sherlock. But to the point where he was, it was like almost berating the offensive coordinator, right up to the coach.
Him and the head
And
coach.
then
Because it's a first year coordinator.
and
so
then
probably doesn't respect him.
and-
the head coach.
and
At it.
and then the game against the Cowboys, he was on Jalen. He and
What's he saying about Jalen? Just not.
he's saying that he's holding the ball too long.
TO and Donovan all over again.
Yep, saying he's holding the ball too long.
It's
so
crazy because they got a nice tight end. They got Devontae Smith, who's hurt now, but they got options. Like
It's the
you can't be the
defense.
only guy.
It's
Yeah.
the defense.
He thinks giving him the ball is going to solve everything. But
No.
like you said,
No.
he doesn't play defense.
No, No. So once again,
Giving up 28 points.
once
a game
again,
or whatever.
once again, we witnessed that the offense come, score, take the lead, but then we watch the defense literally give up like a 70-something yard
that game-winning drive.
Yes.
With hardly any time. It's the Cardinals. Who's
Yeah.
their wide receivers?
And they ran the ball.
Yes, they ran it, but they gashed them.
Yeah, like I'm
Gotcha.
saying in that
Kyler
drive,
Murray looked good against them.
in that drive, they ran the ball like 4 times.
Yes, they gashed them. But it's the defense. The offense scores. They might struggle from time to time. They score, but they're good.
Oh,
They're not good at all.
Tommy D's in the house. What up, Tom? Tom's got his own show too on Saturday nights. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to go on as guest one night.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a Seattle fan too, so maybe him and Raymond Gant were communicating. They got their Seahawks signals.
Yeah. So other games in which we thought. So
I think the big, like, well, I can't say the biggest, but one of the disappointments this week was the Buccaneers against the Saints
They had a chance.
yeah.
They had a
Tampa.
chance to put it to bed.
in Tampa.
yeah.
That
That whole division is a mess.
Yeah, they're all like 8-8, right?
Yeah,
Going into this
yeah.
last week.
They're all a mess.
But 2 of them, don't they play each other this week? Atlanta play Tampa or something. I thought 2
I'm
out of
not
the 3
sure.
might have played each other this week.
This week.
Atlanta plays New Orleans.
Yeah, so 2 of them play each other. Yep.
Yeah.
Tampa plays the Panthers.
Carolina. Yeah, that's
And they might sit Bryce Young because Bryant Young because they don't want to risk him in a meaningless game. Just keep him healthy, have a healthy offseason, and let's see what we can add in the draft and free agency. And they got no number 1 pick, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So any other games?
From last week? Nah, I'm kind of looking forward to this week now.
But that Rams Giants game was exciting.
It
Yeah.
was
I didn't expect it to be like that.
So
Kyron Williams,
so
Yeah, he's a beast.
who's sitting out this week, so that hurts.
Stafford sitting out also.
Yeah.
because
the Rams are in.
They're safe. They
Yeah.
can't go up or down in their position.
Oh, they can.
They can.
If they lose, they go to the if they lose and Green Bay wins, they flip flop.
So seventh and 6th.
Will flip flop.
7th and 6th.
Yeah.
I didn't think they.
Guess
they
they're
could
not worried
move.
about it
I
too
didn't.
much.
I didn't
They're on
think
the
they
road
could
no
move.
matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'd rather just be healthy for who. I don't think they're intimidated. They've been playing so well lately. Their defense is bad, but their offense has been
Their offense.
Kyron Williams and their wide receivers.
Cooper Cup
And
Nuke,
a rookie.
Naku Puka Nuka, whatever the hell.
I don't even attempt to say his name.
Just Puka is good for me.
Yeah. Pukanua.
Puka
that's what I say.
Nakao.
I say Pukanua. So looking ahead to the final week.
Week 7,
Game day
18?
flex to the night game.
Yeah. So
Oh no, that's Saturday night.
so
What's that?
Houston and Indy.
Yeah, that's Saturday.
so
the
looking
game?
ahead to the final week, we all year we were talking about Mike Tomlin, about him possibly having a losing record. Not going to happen this year.
Every year when I think
Not
they're
gonna
playing
happen.
horrible, I said
And
this is going to be the year. And the
and he's
one year he
still-
does, they're going to want him fired.
And he still can make the playoffs.
Yes.
They were screaming for his head.
Yeah, every year they haven't had a losing record.
4 weeks ago they were.
Some fan bases are just spoiled. If you don't win every year, they're ready to blame the coach every year.
You wanna name them?
Besides the Patriots,
So this week you
Browns
guys get to
again?
go at it again.
not really.
Yeah.
Because
looking-
it could be Dobbs, it could be Jaron Hall, it could be Mullins, it could be Rudy Boger. I don't know who's that quarterback.
Why
for us
don't
this
you
year.
just have them all on the field at the same
I
time?
think Rudy called and told me he was starting for the Vikings this week.
Just have them all on the field at the same time, man. You can't,
Yo,
you can't hurt.
It makes no sense because even if we advance, it's going to be getting bombed in the playoffs. I'd rather
You have a
we can
chance.
be as Other people have to
7-9?
lose because we'll be 8-9. There's other 8. Green Bay and all them are 8-8.
Oh, so Green
So
everybody would have to
and then as New Orleans, Atlanta, so one of them teams would drop. We have to have like 2 people lose, and we have to beat Green Bay. But
Green Bay, you played the Lions.
right now we're at number 12 pick. We could go as high as number 8 with a loss.
So you don't even want to win.
But if we lose, no, because if we lose, we're 10, and if we're
With
10,
sense.
I feel we have a chance to get a top 3
So you
quarterback.
want to go double or nothing on that bet?
I want to bet us to lose. I want to bet for us to
Tank it.
lose.
Tank
Wait a minute, Derek.
I don't know.
If last round's not open again this week, it ain't my fault.
It was open last week. But what?
Well, we didn't play last week.
Oh, what?
The week that we played,
Yeah.
no, the week that we played, they closed because it was New Year. It was Christmas Eve.
Well, the Vikings played last week. This past
Not
week.
against you.
Don't matter. You still lost.
Your game was Saturday night. You weren't going down there.
I did. I went down there.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Me and Cliffy. You still lost the bet.
Where was I Sunday?
I don't know where you were. I know
I stayed
Saturday where
home.
you were.
Oh, Sunday you did?
Yeah, because I stayed out late with you guys and drank, so I didn't get up until like 10:30, and then I cleaned the house, and it was time for the Vikings game, and we had to win that, so I wanted to watch it, and I was curious what Jared Hall would do, but I was not.
Didn't you guys play Sunday night? Monday night?
No, not Monday night. Played 1:00
Against Green Bay? No, you didn't. You played at night.
Didn't you?
Oh, that was Sunday night.
Yeah.
It was Sunday night, but there was another game on then. There was a game at 1:00 I wanted to see that was good.
Other games, yeah.
Yeah, but there was a good 1:00 game. I think for fantasy reasons, because remember that was fantasy championship week. So I just wanted to like stay focused and root and hope. And one I did good, and one.
So that's an interesting comment. Barry saying the Rams have the best chance. You know something? If
I don't know
I
about that one,
see,
man.
well, look at it. I look at it this way. So if you go back and you look at history, all right, the team that's giving has given each other the toughest
Division.
time when they've been on the top has been the opposite team. So when the Rams were on top and the 49ers were down, it was always the 49ers, and vice versa. I believe this year when they played them, they had one close game.
But no matter where the Rams finished, the only way that the Rams will see the 49ers is in the NFC Championship.
Are they seventh? So they would have to be the last seeded team.
And they would have to beat either Philly or Dallas.
Yeah, in the first round.
That's a tough order, but
Yeah.
the way they're playing, it's not impossible. But their defense has to do something.
They didn't. The way they're playing, they beat the freaking Giants by 1 point.
Yeah.
Who, the Rams?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the last 4 or 5 games, the Rams have come out of nowhere and
They're
and
5
played
and
well
1.
and
They're
won.
5-1 in their last.
Yeah.
26 to 25.
5-1.
And they won because the Giants missed an easy field goal.
Yeah. They're 5
Yeah,
and
but
1.
that game they got lucky. But the games before that, they've been playing above our expectations.
Oh, I know.
So I'm saying you can't sleep on them,
No,
So-
definitely not.
especially a division rival that they're familiar with.
But I'm saying they're gonna have to win a couple of games before they get to them,
Yeah,
Yeah. They're
and vice versa.
the thing with them is they don't
Frank left
put
them, too.
up much of a fight defensively. Offensively, they can probably score points, but they need stops. And every game you look, they're either in the high 20s, low 30s, and the team's right there with them.
Yeah.
You gotta put up, you gotta make stops at some point in time, and they're not doing it. So I don't know. Who else we got? Buffalo and Miami. That's a game we were referring to.
That's a big one.
the injuries, man.
Yeah.
Is that in Buffalo or in Miami?
It is in Buffalo.
In Miami.
Oh no, at Miami.
In
I'm sorry,
Miami.
at Miami.
So that helps Miami a little bit.
It does, but it doesn't.
Maybe if it were like 110 degrees, it might help them because they seat
Ooh, and that's the Sunday night game.
they seat them. Yeah, well, they flexed it perfectly.
Mm.
If it were 110 degrees and they put the Bills in the sunny side, maybe.
Yeah. The crazy part about this is the Bills will not. If they lose, their record will be 10-7 and not make the playoffs.
Oh,
When you
AFC has better quality teams.
it's just
in the NFC, that might be a number 3 seed.
yeah.
yeah.
You'd be ahead of everybody in the NFC.
It would be a
West.
number 4 seed.
Number 4.
Number C South. Yeah.
Well, no,
it could
no,
be-
because
it could be a 5
no,
seed
it could be a
because it could-
it could be a 5 seed because
5 or 6 seed
the Cowboys and the Eagles
will be
exact same record.
will be 11 and the worst they can do.
So-
11-5.
Yeah, but last year we suffered the same thing. We won 13 games and we finished at the number 5 seed because the divisional winners 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go automatically to the lowest position
But I'm saying
winner.
they would finish as a 6 seed.
Yeah, that would be a 6 seed because they would be lower than Philadelphia right now. Yeah. So it's unfortunate that they have so many injuries at this time, but who isn't injured? Everybody's either limping or hurt. It's at the end of the
So
season.
people are going to play now.
You know, you have no choice to no other choice to play with what you have, and just move forward. So now the games in which the NFC East are playing, they're both divisional. So there'll be no easy, easy peasy. The Cowboys play the Commanders, and the Giants play the Eagles.
And the Giants should have beat the Eagles
The first time. Yes, they should have. Yes, they should have. Commanders and Cowboys, not so close the first time they played, but I do recall last year, the final game of the season, there was some quarterback named Sam Howell that no one knew about, and he let the Cowboys up last year. He threw for two, and he ran for two.
And he's starting this game.
Oh, he can stop this time. I mean, we got the book on him, but I mean, if the Cowboys don't win this week, man, they might as well they might as well just throw their hats in. This year would be the best chance that they had at getting to the NFC Championship game, with all home games since they were beat in 2018?
Well, all home games except the NFC Championship.
When they played against Green Bay, when which we call through that crazy pass on 4th and 21, and dude caught it on the sideline.
When he was already on the ground.
Well, yeah, he caught it right.
Yep.
He caught it right at the first time Mike was ready. He caught it right here, and they kicked the field goal to win. Cowboys had it was a tight end. It was a tight end.
Oh.
It was a tight end that caught.
No, that wasn't when Dez caught the ball.
No, that wasn't when. No, this was Dax. This was Dax. His second year in the league that he played. That I think this is the best opportunity since they've had then. Clear path. All they got to do is win, all the way up into the NFC Championship game, which they'll be on the road. But it's their chance to, with home field, where they're undefeated, they've won their last 15 games at home, to, that gives you a boost of confidence and moving forward. The Eagles on the other side, a lot of questions. Offensively, they're not putting up the points that they did last year. I mean, their biggest threat is the tush push when they're 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. That's the only thing I think that comes out of them that's guaranteed. Other than that, I mean, you never know what you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get a good Hurts, a bad Hurts. The defense is going to give up points, big play. The thing with them is they give up so many big plays, chunk plays. I think they're amongst the league leaders of giving up chunk plays of 20 yards or more, which is an eye-popping stat, because good teams just don't do that. You don't give up huge chunks of yards, especially you look at last week. I was watching screen passes go for 18, 26, 28 yards. That can't happen. So NFC East, pretty much, you win
and you got it.
You win and you got it. You lose, you better hope the other team loses.
I hope both teams lose.
Yeah, well, that'll benefit you.
I hope both teams loses.
That'll benefit you.
Hey,
yeah. I've seen stranger thing happens, but it is one of those things.
No. I think one of the more interesting games this week is going to be Seattle against the Cardinals.
Tom? Seattle?
I just think it's going to be interesting, man, because you don't know what Seattle team you're going to get.
Kenneth Walker's been playing good for them, but he's banged up. He's like one hit away from being out, and he's so dynamic when they're in the lineup. But Metcalf has been doing dumb things, like penalties.
That's what I mean.
And talk about bad attitudes.
It depends on what Seattle team you're going to get.
Metcalf has to be
and the other guy
under control.
The other guy, I don't even know. I can't remember his name because he hasn't done anything all year, pretty much. What's the other guy's name?
Tom said he could stop before the hand touch.
What's the other guy's name?
Lockett.
Yeah,
Lockett got hurt.
Lockett.
Like I said,
and then Smith Enigma, they're not really.
He's that rookie. That's not.
He gets some big chunks, but he only gets like 3 catches a game.
He don't get
3 for 48.
You don't get many touches.
Yeah, because everything's going to the other two. Because Metcalf's had some good plays, but then he's had some dumb penalties and some.
He's a head case, bro.
Yeah,
like that's why people wondered why he didn't get drafted so high.
Because I wonder if he was like that. But him and AJ Brown were on the same team. I wonder if it were they roommates? Did they learn it from each other?
No, but
they both got bad attitudes. Both played at Mississippi.
And they're both big as shit.
Yeah, but Metcalf was way bigger than him in college.
Yeah, but they're both big as shit, man.
Yeah.
Come on, Thomas. What's wrong with the Seattle Supersonics? I was gonna say Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks.
Let us know, man. Call in, brother.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else? Anything else that any other game? But can we get something? Can we give the Cleveland Browns some flowers?
Of course.
Yo,
can we give the Cleveland Browns?
We talked about everybody else
11-5
with adversity.
11-5.
Lost Chubb before they
lost their best running back game one.
Yeah.
11-5. You know what? I look at them and I'm like, how?
Because their defense.
Yes.
Yes. But the crazy part is they have one. Really, if you think about it, they have maybe 1-2 big name guys on defense.
No, their defensive backs are all pro. Who's the kid from Ohio? Denzel Ward, first team all pro.
There's one, and
then they got the other kid that is good that played at LSU. I can't remember his name, but they got good. They got guys. Tom, what's the corner? Yeah, Ward. But who's on the other side? They got another good defensive cornerback that's on the other side. Not Greedy Williams. He played at LSU too, but there's another guy that's good on the other side. So you can't pick on either. And then you got Myles Garrett causing all kind of problems on the line.
But all right,
and two sticky cornerbacks.
All right, even if you say they have 3,
and they got good safeties.
Even if you say they have three name guys, who else? Their defense is pretty good.
They don't have big
collectively. They're playing well. Let me tell you.
I bet you they're between their cornerbacks and safeties, they got one of the highest rated defensive backfields in the league.
Listen, all I need to tell you is I picked them up on Dallas's bye week, and they got me close to 24 points. And all I did was I actually dropped a running back, and I toggled between Dallas's defense and their defense. And every week I was guaranteed no less than 15 points.
I had him since week 1, and let me tell you how I got him. This is how I got him. Now we did a live draft, but did it online. I'm like, it was getting later into the rounds, whatever. Later in the draft,
Greg Newsome.
I'm talking. I was talking with. I'm not saying. I wasn't saying I was talking.
No. But I was just like, I had to look up the name.
I was talking with guys, bullshit. Now it's my pick. I'm not knowing it's my pick. Now, I was talking to, let's say you, the guy I was talking to, like, yo, I don't care. I'm gonna pick Detroit because it's getting late. Whatever. Yeah, I go to pick, right? Time's up. They automatically give me Cleveland Browns. I'm like, yo, this is bullshit. I was complaining, mad, and I was like, you know, whatever. I'll just live with it. I'll live with it.
You live really well with it.
They were a little better than Detroit's defense.
Yeah, I kept it and I had them all year, but I was pissed off at the draft.
I accidentally, like I said, I don't know how they were out there because this was
somebody cut them on a bye.
Week 9, yeah, it was week 9, and the Cowboys had a bye, and I said, I needed good. I go, wait, as soon as I looked at defense, they were the one at the top. I'm like, what?
And they probably weren't there the rest of the season.
I'm like, no, they weren't there the rest of the season because I kept them.
No. I mean, leading up to week 9, they weren't available. But on week 8, somebody had to cut their defense because they didn't want to cut one of their skill players. They didn't want to give up somebody that was on the bench, had a few people on bye.
I had a garbage running back, and I said, you know what? If I continue at this rate, keeping this running back, I'm going to suffer. So I might as well
not going to start him. So
so I might as well, you know what? I might as well just pick up somebody. So what I was doing was I was just fishing through running backs, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to toggle between Dallas and Cleveland, depending on the matchup. And that's what I did. I toggled between, and I no less than 15 points every week. They were guaranteed, fumble recoveries, returns, everything.
They had a lot of returns.
Yes,
a lot of fumble recoveries.
Yes. And so I was like, you know what? Depending on the matchup, how I felt, I was like, you know what? I'll take Dallas this week. Divisional game. I'll take. And then I was, and it was like I can't miss. I pretty much hit on on either or every other week, and it was good.
Like another. I know we're not talking about fantasy football, but another surprise.
No, we are.
Another surprise pick that I had all year, and I didn't get rid of. I think I might have cut him once, but then I picked him right back up on the waiver. Was Dicker from the Chargers?
Oh, I had him whole year.
He put up a lot of
But
points.
he hurt me in the playoffs. He didn't do nothing.
Well, it's because
Last week.
offense.
Yeah, but he had a great year,
Yeah.
and I picked him up. I think I don't know if I drafted him or if I picked him up like week 2 or week 3 because I was like, I need somebody else.
I drafted him, but he put up a lot of points this year.
All right, so we'll move on from the big leagues, and we'll talk about college. We need to talk about the college football semifinal playoffs.
Stick around, Tom. We want to hear your input on this.
Who we're going to talk about? Florida State?
No, Florida State will be after.
Oh, we said playoffs.
We need to talk about real teams.
Playouts.
We need to talk about teams who try to at least show up. All right.
Do you think there was a better game played between the two? Because they were both exciting.
Can I say something first? I was extremely surprised at how Michigan played.
Yeah, I thought they were going to get beat.
I thought that Harbaugh was the better coach by far in that game. Typically, you see the master, the older, you see Alabama make the good in-game adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think,
and with their strength of schedule,
I don't
think their players would have been.
I don't think it ever came down to it. Michigan did such a great job on
defense, especially.
Oh, defense was retarded.
That defensive line killed that Alabama offense.
So you seen what happened prior to the game, right?
When the offensive line
walked right through.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
that was disrespectful.
They tried to
intimidate him. Yes. And they had
all over.
They had what, 5 sacks in the first half?
Something like that. They were killing.
They were in dude's face left there. He's a mobile quarterback.
Yes.
They were in his face left and right.
Nothing.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not like he's a statue back there.
No, I know.
When it seemed like every time that you thought Alabama was going to make a run, that Michigan came back and upped them one. Yep. And their play calling was so, when you watched it over again, the misdirection that they did, and it was genius. Yep. And Alabama never really caught on to it. They put all their players in the right place to succeed. And it was great. Going to the last play game, I thought that was a bad call.
That was the worst play call.
If you have somebody with the ability to run and throw, give yourself a dual threat.
Yes, let him get outside.
Give yourself a dual threat.
You just pretty much a straight quarterback.
Yeah. And it wasn't like they were a half yard out or 1 yard out. They were 2.5 yards out.
But I didn't understand it.
I was
what Tom
disappointed.
said about that game. He said Michigan was lucky. Special teams was a disaster. Saban played too conservative with their quarterback. They were scared to throw. And you know what's crazy? I have the stats written down as a difference. Milroe, 16 out of 23 for 116 yards. You threw the ball 16 times, only got 16 completions. They weren't thrown downfield. Everything was short, dink, and dunk. He was afraid to let him.
Well, I don't know if he was afraid or Michigan was
not giving them enough time.
They didn't have no time.
But
they became one dimension.
They didn't have no time.
That D-line was
they were in his face the whole first half. I mean, they were just like in his grill.
And when you have pressure like that,
then you get happy feet.
The only way you can counteract that is screens.
Yeah.
But I think Michigan's defense, like you guys were saying, was the more dominant factor, setting the tone. Because at the beginning, I said, "Ooh, they're coming out hot," and I didn't think they were going to maintain it. And like you said, I thought Saban would adjust. They have more 5-star athletes than anybody. I figured they'll just find another way to come through on offense, like they did against Georgia. Michigan's defense never broke down.
Yeah, they like I said, every time you thought Alabama was going to take that leap, Michigan met them at the hill and did something and one-up them. And like I said, I was pleasantly surprised with the game calling of Harbaugh, what he did, because we had talked prior to the game, and we agreed that they were more so a running team.
Mm-hmm.
But every time they passed, they had big plays.
Yep.
They were picking up big chunks.
JJ.
Yes, they were
Who
picking up.
I'm not impressed with. He's a good athlete.
Who, JJ?
Mm-hmm. But 17 out of 27 for 220 yards, 3 passing TDs. Well, 3 TDs. He might have had 2 passing and 1 running, but he didn't have any turnovers.
Yeah.
So he managed the game. He didn't turn the ball over, and he was directly responsible. He did enough to win. 221 yards against against Alabama's defense. That's pretty impressive. And then you had Quorum, who didn't look like he was having a great game, but he broke off a couple of big runs that were difference makers. He ended up with 84 yards and a touchdown.
And that touchdown is when it counted.
Yes.
Yes.
But he's been their bread and butter. That when he wasn't running consistently in the first half, I was like, oh, they're in trouble. Because if he got to pass.
They were keying him.
Mm-hmm.
They were keying him.
But he broke it when it happened.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't think that Michigan was going to be able to pass as easily as they did. And they did. And I thought that Alabama was going to be the big play makers, and it was just the opposite.
Yep.
They kind of dinked and dunked their way down. And when they scored and were successful. But Tom is right. The special teams was they were a hot mess.
Yeah,
Did they fumble?
They were a hot mess.
Misplay a
I know.
kickoff.
I know.
They let a kickoff go out of bounds at like the 10 zone.
Yeah, they were a hot mess as far as special teams go. But ultimately, they hung in there and they did what they needed to do. And you got to give Michigan a lot of credit, because all year it was like, oh, they cheated.
Yeah,
they cheated. This isn't right. 2 different suspensions with their coach. 2 different, the self-imposed, and then
play.
And then
that's
the self-imposed.
Games,
yes, the self-imposed, and then the one at the end of the year for the alleged spying. To overcome the adversity the way that they did, and to stay focused in big moments leading up to this game was huge, because let's face it, what was Harbaugh's record? 0 and
big games, just like he had that record against Ohio State until recently.
0-6, and I think getting over this hump has probably given them a lot of confidence, and not only given them confidence, but it also boosted his net worth by big money, because now there's going to be, let's say, hypothetically,
one of the richer college
hypothetically, if
we went after him,
hypothetically, if they were to win on Monday night,
oh yeah,
sky's the limit for him.
He already had a great regular season
in NCAA.
Then he won the semifinal, that bumped his stock, and if he, like Brian said, if he wins the championship, that's a different. Each win was worth another $2 million a year.
You think
and he's making 8 now.
They were talking about there's an offer on the table right now for him for 15 at Michigan.
Because you know what he did this week. I was telling Brian,
he hired
the agent that represents all the coaches in the NFL. Nothing. So what's that kind of writing on the wall? Is that like you hired somebody who represents all the NFL coaches?
That's a smart move.
Yeah. Is it?
It stokes fuel in the fire.
That's
Michigan's like, they better come out with a $15 million offer.
There's a 50.
College football. Michigan got that money. They're getting 100,000. Yo, their stadium holds 104,000. They've sold out for like 20 years in a row. Yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, the thing with college coaches, people seem to forget that pro, they'll kick you to the curb in a hot second. All right. You got to remember, if in the pros, if a lot of times if you get into a feud with a star athlete, the coach is
making
going
more
first.
than the coach.
The coach is going first.
My quarterback makes $50 million.
Not so much with in the way of college football. The coach controls a lot, and the alumni
Yeah, the boosters.
drive everything.
So that doesn't come up. You don't have a budget. If
Yeah.
you got somebody like Michigan or Texas that has crazy boosters.
The alumni, they're the
they
ones who
meet and
drum
vote
up.
and say we want to win at all costs.
They're the ones who are drumming up the salary and all that stuff. So
Look
you
at the
got-
situation at Texas A&M. Jimbo Fisher had crazy money left, and the alumni and the booster said, we'll eat it.
Yep.
We'll pay for it. We'll buy him out.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He had like $80 million left. He doesn't even have to coach.
Yep. And another thing with as you know, in college football is you don't have to go through drafts. It's a recruiting war.
Yeah.
And in a case like this
That's
year,
the other thing he's winning.
in a case like this year, he's going to have, if he were to come back next year, he's going to have a lot of top recruits. So it doesn't hurt that the rich only get richer.
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, you won the college football championship, you're going to the bottom. No, I'm getting number 2
Everybody
top
wants
player,
to win.
number 7 top player, number 15 top player, and it goes on and on.
As right now, Alabama, Georgia, and then I think Oregon have the top 3.
Somebody
Recruiting
else is up
classes
there that I
fast.
can't. I might want to say LSU or somebody else.
I just seen. I want to
I
say.
saw like the Under Armour game the other night, and they were ranking
Yeah.
because a lot of people committed during that
Yesterday.
game.
yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of people committed, and they were ranking the classes. And I know I saw all the teams you mentioned,
Yeah.
and I think LSU and Washington were up there.
Maybe. I don't. I
All those
can't
teams had
remember.
great years this year.
All right, so can we go on to the next game?
Washington and Texas.
Yes.
I wanted Washington to win that game so bad.
They
And I
did.
thought they blew it at the end. No, I'm saying
Oh,
I thought Texas was going to get them at the end.
yeah. Well, good.
They were at the 20-yard line with a minute. So I was like, yo, and
Yeah.
everything was real close, like just overthrown.
Yeah.
Penalty.
I'm going to tell you something.
Penix for real or what?
Yeah, you just got to worry about his injuries. If he stays healthy, yeah.
The kid can make the throws. I'll
And
tell you that
quick.
much.
The kid, he's 25.
A rocket.
I don't care what he
No,
is.
he's 24 right now.
I don't care what he is. He can make the
Oh,
throws.
no.
But he missed
No.
2 years from ACL tears
No, I'm
at Indiana.
I'm a Penix fan.
He can make
I
the
like the-
throws.
I take a chance on him. Lefty.
He
I like
can
the-
make
Who
the
else is a
throws.
lefty that can run? Let me see.
Nah,
can
you can't-
Lamar, right?
You can't. No, Maserati.
Oh, it was Michael Vick.
Michael
That was the
Vick.
lefty.
Michael Vick, yeah. Listen, the kid could he could throw,
But he doesn't hold on to the ball, and he can run. You see how quick his release is? He gets to a spot and he makes good decisions.
Yeah, he one of them receivers. I forget the dude's name. He's a
Adonze.
legit-
But don't
He's
he's
legit,
supposed to
bro.
be the number 2 or number 3, depending on how you look at the kid from LSU, Malik Neighbors.
He's legit.
But he's 6'4". He reminds me of a Mike Evans with more speed.
He's legit, bro.
But their whole wide receiver corps is number 1 in college football.
Yeah. Well, when you have a quarterback that's slinging it like that, it doesn't hurt. But yeah, no, he is the real deal. When you look at the package that he's going to be presenting, somebody's going to get a good quarterback.
But 2 torn ACLs is going to play in the back of people's minds. And the way medical is now, sometimes you're better
You come
after
back,
the surgery.
come back.
He had
faster,
it when he was
stronger.
at Indiana. He never got hurt since the time he transferred to Washington.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody was talking about that. Where was that? When he was at Indiana, he
Because
carved
he ran too much.
he carved up some team. It was a
Carved up everybody, but the rest of the team
Man,
stunk,
who-
and he was in the Big
who
Ten.
the hell was it? Oh, it was your boy. Oh no, you're not a Michigan guy.
Now, that's Adam L on him.
He's my boy. At the end there, can't think of his name. Hutchinson.
Oh.
He was on the St. Brown Brothers podcast,
Hmm.
and he was talking about it. Like he was saying that dude tore Michigan up.
When
He
you're
was
an
at Indiana.
athlete, you're an athlete. He used to run a lot more. Now he's more conservative, but he can run in a pinch, but he tries not to run as much because that reckless style of ball catches up to every quarterback. We saw it with Vic. We saw it with Lamar. You can only run for so long before eventually, look what happened to Anthony Richardson this year, and he's 6'4", 220 or something, 230. But
It happens.
when we were talking about Michael Penix, they said he has the best receiving core. Adunze, who's going to be the number 2 or number 3, he's going to be a top 10 pick. 6 catches, 125 yards. James Polk, 5 catches for 122 yards and a touchdown. Jay Westover, 6 catches for 59 yards, and Jay McMillan had 5 for 58 and a touchdown. They said there's no finer group of wide receivers, and he has the ability to pick up the best matchup. They said he's really good at looking at the defense and saying, where's the mismatch? He got a Dunze, but he's not forcing the ball to him because he's his number one. He's like, oh, they got the third cornerback trying to play this dude. He has all number ones. It's just Dunze is the best of the number ones.
Well,
No, the thing is, I don't mean to cut you off. Will that offensive line be able to hold up against that Michigan?
yeah.
Well, once we get to the championship game, I was going to make some
well, that's where we're going next.
But out of the two semifinals, did you enjoy one more than the other? Because they were both tick for tat for me. Came down to the wire. Well played.
Let's play the game.
Before both games played, I was telling, I forget who it was, but I was saying that the Alabama-Michigan game will be more exciting. That's what I thought.
No, I thought Texas and thing was going to be high school.
I just
Texas and Washington.
For some reason, I thought Texas didn't belong, and the only reason why Texas made it is because they beat Alabama and Alabama beat Georgia.
Yeah.
If Georgia beats Alabama, Texas don't make it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why.
And I thought Georgia deserved to be there because you don't win 29 games in a row and playing in the SEC, and the first time you lose, you're worse than all the other teams that go one loss.
That's why I wasn't really feeling Texas being in there.
Yep.
But
So
still competitive. I think there was 5 teams that deserved to be there.
So
there's no way to make it work.
So how are we feeling about the national championship game that's going to be played Monday?
Interesting. Contrasting styles.
I give the slight edge to Michigan.
Mm-hmm. Why?
That defense.
Defense, yeah. That's why I was going.
Washington doesn't have a shitty defense.
No, I'm not saying that they.
But I just think
they don't have a running game.
Well, so
they're predictable on offense. As great as Michael Penix is with those, their leading rusher had like 58 yards.
And you're going to be dropping back 30-something times,
and
you're going
Dallas Turner and the rest of that Alabama.
Yes,
I mean, I'm sorry, the Michigan.
Yeah. That's the thing for me is I think will Michigan be able to put the same pressure that they put on Alabama in Murrell? If they can do that and get him off his game and have the same type of ball control, I'm liking Michigan. But if Penix can throw for 420 yards and 2 touchdowns, But overall, I'm going to roll with the better defense.
They say defense wins championship.
That's it. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm going to roll with the better defense, and hopefully they can duplicate what they did and not stall out in the passing game like they did against Alabama. If they do, I think that I still believe it's probably going to be a close game. I think it's what are they 4 points, 5 points?
I didn't even see the spread, but it's got to be close.
It's 5 points.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
No, I think it's 4.5 or 5. It's 4.5 Michigan.
The one thing that I just talked about with Penix being, not running as much and putting him. I think he's going to have to run in this game if he wants to win because that pass rush, that Michigan defense looked really, really like high end. I was like, yo, they're going to press and they're going to say, we want to see you run the ball because their running backs aren't there. They got Dylan Johnson, but he's banged up.
4.5.
And he's not a lead back in my mind. He's a good running back, but he's not a great running back. And the only reason I think he gets yards is because there's so much pressure on the wide receivers, so much attention on their wide receivers that they can't play all 3 wide receivers and worry about the running back. So sometimes, there's double teams on the wide receivers. There's less guys in the box so he can run. But if the thing is, Penix is probably going to have to use his legs more in this game than he's ever had to just to take some of that pressure off the wide receivers and they have to come up and put a spy on him. Now that'll make it easier for him to throw. But if he comes out and they're just one-dimensional, I think that pass rush will.
But this is my thing. Like, they already neutralized a running quarterback.
Yeah, but I don't think he.
I don't think Murrell
at the passing.
Yeah, I don't think Murrell. Yeah, I don't think he's.
And he doesn't have the weapons at wide receiver.
No.
He has.
But he is athletic.
He is athletic. He has a hell of an arm.
He didn't look like he tried to run that much though.
Well, you know
As
what it
good
was?
as he can run.
So the thing is that Michigan, it was a intense rush, but it was a contained rush.
Yeah,
They weren't over. They
People
weren't
stayed in
over.
their lanes and
Yes,
said,
they
"Oh,
were
I'm
not.
not gonna
You
overreact."
didn't see any of this wide. It was like everybody stayed in their gap straight up the field. And they forced them to go outside as opposed to go, to venture up through the middle. That's the best way to play a running quarterback is to stay in your lanes and force them to go outside. Don't let them come in the inside, because once you do that, everybody's done. You force them to go outside. Now you got backside pursuit and you just run on a line. But yeah, it's going to make a world of difference if Penix is able to make plays with his feet and be able to. It's going to be interesting to see how the offensive line does against the defensive line. I think that's going to be the story of the game. If Washington can neutralize, or Michigan can duplicate what they did against Alabama, I think that's what's going to determine the game. Once again, you're going to need some type of running game to neutralize it. You can't just think you're going to drop back 40 times. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Also, a screen game will neutralize that too.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you can look at the Patriots. Patriots never really had a running game.
No,
it was a screen game. You knew it was coming. It's just a matter of when it was coming. You know what I'm saying?
Get that ball out quick.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Penix. I seen him play more than Jaden Daniels, but the thing that I think gives Penix an advantage is his quick decision making. That releases. He can flick it. It's like he can run and stop on a dime and be accurate. And then the threat to run. With Daniels, he's a physically bigger guy who can also run. Jaden Daniels at LSU. Like when I was comparing their styles.
Yeah, but he's not bigger.
He's bigger than Penix.
Well, height-wise.
Height-wise and weight-wise.
Daniels is skinny.
Penix is probably 200 pounds, 195.
I don't know.
But when I was comparing two similar quarterbacks playing at high-profile schools, I remember I was like, who would I want to take in the draft? And right now, I think Jaden Daniels' skill set and is, well, maybe because he doesn't have the injury history too, but you can get hurt at any time.
All right, so we need to talk about the Florida State debacle. It was a very heated debate.
I never seen tanking in college football
on social media.
That was
because of the fact that they felt that they got the short end of the stick. We're not going to participate in a bowl. So 29 players decided to sit out.
More than that, I think.
No, 29.
No, I'm saying they were protesting playing. I think they were also afraid to show, if they did play, how big of that when me and Brian were talking, that game wouldn't have been much different if everybody starters played.
And their quarterback was out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I thought.
But even if their starters play, I don't
ranked 168.
Instead of losing by 50, they would have probably lost by 30. No, I don't think so either.
Even if their quarterback was healthy, I think Georgia strength of schedule and their pedigree is just a cut above.
Now, I look at it this way. If you're so pissed off, why not prove it on the field?
Yep.
And say, listen, this needs to be changed, because we know change is coming, just not this year, next year. Unfortunately for them. All right. But so you went out on your back, literally went out on your back, when you should have stood fast and took a stand. I see it as, if there's something that you don't like, go ahead and literally try to make a statement within the, on the football field. And I think that, the copping out, especially with 29 players sitting out, you just made a sorry ass case, because we'll never know how good you were. Okay. That's my take on it. There was a lot of people that were like, nah, you know what? They went undefeated and that's not right. And you know what?
Liberty went undefeated.
Yeah. Well, blame it on
real bad.
Blame it on the teams before them. We've seen this before. This isn't the first time that this has happened. Yep. And I said it last week, and I'll say it again. The college football committee has made it known that, yes, we're going to favor the power schools. We're going to favor the teams that play a top-notch schedule. We're not going to take the chance to see who was it? Who was it that got creamed last
Dame?
year? Notre Dame 1 year,
Michigan,
Michigan 1 year.
Right.
Who was the other small school?
TCU
TCU.
in the
But
championship
but
last
TCU,
year.
TCU.
yeah, but TCU beat Michigan.
Yeah, they beat
Yeah,
Michigan.
beat Michigan, but then
And then they got
Georgia.
smashed.
Yeah, then they got smashed by Georgia. But we've seen this play out before, and I explained it. You got it has now become more of a business. Once again, you got to realize that there's a lot of money put forward in these bowl games, a lot of sponsorship. When a team's losing 63 to nothing, or
Nobody's
30
watching
or
no more.
38 nothing, who's
And-
going to be watching those Tostitos commercials that are coming on that they're paying big bucks for? Nobody, like Keith Sweat, nobody, right? And it's becoming, and it, don't get it wrong, it's always been about money.
Yep.
But people are getting their feelings involved now, saying, well, they went undefeated. Who on their schedule that we can look at and say, yeah, that was a top-notch team right there? Who?
Their best opponent, I believe, was Clemson.
Yeah, anybody in the ACC. They did not play nobody outside the ACC that was.
And Clemson wasn't that good this
Mm-mm.
year.
Clemson wasn't that good. North Carolina.
Are they looking at Clemson from 4 or 5 years ago? I mean, it's ridiculous. And to sit there and say, well, you don't do that to kids. No, you do it to them. You know what? You look at their ADs and their coaches and you say, listen, if you want to trump your schedule up to make yourself look like the big bag bullies, and you're not playing anyone really, one team maybe in the top 40, top 30, whatever it was, and you want to make the claim that
Clemson was down,
and you want to make the claim that you're amongst the elite, and you don't have any, power wins in there. Come on, that's foolish. That's like the guy, that's like the boxer who runs around and beats up the boxers that are down the pier. You know what I'm saying? And then when it's time to get in the ring against the real fighters, I'm gonna just sit this one out. No. And I didn't see it. I didn't see it in the level of competition that they played.
I don't think I know I didn't see it.
No. And I firmly believe, for the first time in a long time, that the college football, they made a good decision. And they didn't fall to the peer pressure of, because they went undefeated.
The only decision that I didn't agree with, I said already, is the Texas and Georgia.
Yeah, it's questionable. Yeah, it's questionable.
Georgia, like we said, Georgia's been undefeated for 2 years. They lose one game, and now,
and all of a sudden, teams that have been losing every year, no national championships, and they got one loss already, and that they're ranked ahead of Georgia.
Yeah.
And the thing I respect about Georgia, did Georgia sit anybody? Just Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
Because he was banged up and he's going into the draft. Why risk playing with an injury? He played with injury throughout most of the year, but once they lost and he couldn't have a chance I understand that. But the rest of the team said, we're playing for each other. I respected that so much. The coach was like, hey, what do you got? They came to the coach, we want to play. The quarterback, everybody, we want to play. And then they wanted to show Florida State that Florida State wasn't in their league and that they deserved to be in the top 4. And Florida State did just the opposite. We're not going to give them that opportunity.
To me, it looked like they put their tails between their legs.
We don't want it to be. We don't want to get exposed.
And it listen, to be the best, you have to play the best. The old saying, right? And I thought they could have made the biggest stand for everyone. No, I keep hearing the same argument. No. They were ripped off. Prove it.
Yeah.
Prove it. Show me that, they were wrong. If you could have came out and you could have, put up a good game and still lost by maybe a touchdown or whatever, we can question it, but we'll never know now. And what you left on the field was you got beat by what, 50-something points?
Yeah, it was 63.
Whatever the case was.
It could have been worse. It could have been.
It doesn't even.
It was never a game. Even in warm-ups, it was a blowout.
But yeah, you never gave us cause to think on the opposite end of the spectrum, because as a result of 29 players.
They lost by 60.
All right, so it doesn't
63-3.
it doesn't even make a difference. You know, and more
That
importantly,
game and the Liberty game.
and more importantly, if I'm the guys that are playing, and I'm looking at the 29 guys that are set out, you know what I'm telling them? Thanks for leaving us out there to
no brotherhood there like you showed in Georgia. All these guys are first round picks in Georgia. They still took the chance and played.
All you did was leave us out there to dry. You let us be embarrassed because your pride was too much.
Yep.
29 guys. I believe there's probably 60 guys on a roster, probably 50 something.
I think
50,
A
yeah,
lot in
close to
college,
60,
yeah.
close to 60. So what happens to the other 30 guys? You know, what the other 30 guys? What are
He's
they?
not playing. I'm not playing.
What?
He's not playing. I'm not
no,
playing.
That's
but-
crazy. You only have 22 starters.
Yeah, exactly.
So you had a chance. So even the backups backed out.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it had to do with the sulking protest, the sulking attitude protest, and the reality that they weren't better than none of those 5 teams.
No.
Now, here's my question. How would Georgia have fared against everybody else? Because was it you that said Texas didn't belong? Well, you did.
You did.
I think Georgia belonged, but who do you kick out? Like Texas looked good.
But that's who I kick out.
Oof. I wish there was a way they could have been
it's-
included because
it's-
I
it's-
thought there was 5 good teams that
Next year-
deserved to be
next
there.
year.
We'll see.
Next year, yeah, next year with the expanded playoffs.
They're going
we'll
to
see.
8 next year or 12.
I don't know, but like the first 4 teams all get buys, and then
It has, so
and then
that-
8 teams
12.
play. Yeah,
It has to be 12.
Yeah,
Yeah, because then you'll be left with 8. Yeah, so we'll see next year. Unfortunately
That's
for
what it
Florida
should've
State,
been, man.
unfortunately for Florida
hopefully
State,
the
they
level
were a
of
year
competition
too
will be the
soon.
same.
They were a year too soon. But like I said, there's only one way to put the baby to bed. Get on the field and prove it in between.
And
the
not only
lines.
that, you would have been going into the national into this playoffs without your number 1 quarterback. So you'd have probably got smashed anyway.
Yeah.
And but guess what? There's a lot of people who might have not have been number 1 draft picks, but there might have been fringe people on that Florida State game that were 3rd and 4th that wanted to show they were worthy of a 3rd or 2nd round pick, and you never went out there. So now, if I'm the scouts, I'm like, I don't know how many Florida State players I want besides their 1st round picks because they didn't show me no heart. They didn't show me no grit.
No
So
fight.
I'll go take somebody from Liberty before them because at least Liberty showed up to play the game, even though they got smashed.
They didn't.
They showed up.
They didn't belong in that.
Yeah, but
No.
they showed up to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
And they had more reason to back out because they're not on the same level.
No,
They're a
that's what I'm
small
saying.
school.
They're not on that same.
But that's what the ranking system, and Liberty didn't play nobody big this year. You know, they played a couple of decent squads, but that's the difference. They showed up and took their ass whooping like men, and Florida State just bowed out like cowards.
Yeah, it for me it was it just stunk. It didn't make
Like
any sense.
That Oregon team, they have 2 losses, and both
Yeah.
losses came to Washington.
See,
Less than 3 points each game.
Oregon should have played Georgia. That would have been top 6.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 and 2 get a bye, but that would have worked out
But
fine.
they gave it to Florida State because the Florida State was undefeated.
And Oregon had 2 losses, but both to Washington, who's in the championship game. Nobody else is beating Washington.
By 3, they lost.
Yo,
games
both
by a
games
total of
were
6
good.
points.
Both games were good.
Both games by a total of 6 points. So they lost by 3 points both games.
So the good thing is next year, we won't be having the same argument.
Nah.
We won't be having the same argument because guess what?
Because there'll be 1 team left off. Guaranteed.
No,
Nah,
but
not at
but
this
not
12.
at 12.
It's hard. It's
Yeah,
hard to pick
12.
4, but it's not hard to pick. There might have been 7 or 8 teams that had a shot at
So how many 3-loss teams do you think you get in?
none. There'll be
Like
nobody.
12? With 12?
Yeah, with 12.
12 spots?
The top 12, there'll be nobody. Look in the top 12. I bet you there was nobody that had 3 losses. There was a couple undefeateds. There was a whole bunch of 1-loss teams, and there was a few 2-loss teams. But I don't think there was a 3-loss team in the top 12. But a SEC 3-loss team might, somebody like a LSU who wasn't,
They were,
yeah, they were on the fringe. They were like 10. I think they were like 10 or something like that.
I don't know.
But that was another team that I was mad about watching because, well, neighbors played, just Jaden Daniels didn't play.
It could happen because
Yo.
just think about it, right? Just think about it, right? If you lose, let's say an SEC team loses to one team, in the divisional play, and for some reason they might stump their foot, and then there's another team that loses, and then they somehow, end up in, and then they lose to, 2 SEC lost, to the same team, just like you're talking about with Oregon and
Yeah.
Washington.
All right,
It could happen.
Here's a well, not scenario, but a good program like in Oklahoma. They had 3 losses. They were their 12th ranked team. They ended up losing that.
But
they
their
lost
strength
to
of schedule
Arizona.
wasn't like a SEC schedule. Their conference was good, but not great like SEC.
But it's a big name, Oklahoma.
You might see a team with 3 losses.
I think a SEC team with 3 losses because SEC has probably 6 teams in the top 12.
But so look at it, right? We could talk like a team like Oklahoma. Suppose they decide to play outside of the division and they play an SEC team. But yeah, this is what I was talking about. And then they lose to 2 teams within their own division, one during the season and one. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, because even when Alabama lost, it was a championship game. You ran the table during the regular season. You already beat them.
You mean Georgia?
I mean Georgia. Yeah. You run the table, and then you have to play them again in a championship game just because your conference is so strong. Yes. You shouldn't get penalized for playing a good strength. Oh no, they're in opposite. They're in like North and South. But no matter what division you're in the SEC, it's tough. And the leader of that other side is, I'm going to have to run up against Georgia one of these days. I'm going to have to run up against Alabama. Georgia and Alabama have met for the championship in the SEC
quite a bit.
Yeah, in the title game. So they're pretty much a lock to play. So you got to run that gauntlet and then still play somebody in your own conference, and you're getting penalized. That's what I didn't like about when you brought up Washington, Oregon. Oregon still deserved to play because they might have beat Texas. Texas was in.
Like, what do you do
them in Georgia would have been a better matchup than freaking Florida State and Georgia. They were better than Florida State without injuries.
All right.
Like a team like Ohio State. What do you do with that?
Well, you know what? We'll find out next year.
Yeah, they'll have a whole new quarterback and everything. New wide receivers.
That might even have a new coach.
I doubt it.
He's on that. They were talking about.
That's one of the places you got to win all the time. Them, Michigan, Notre Dame.
He was on the. He might be on the block.
All right. So jumping from NCAA, we got to move to the NBA. All right. So we know there was quite a big game that took place a couple of days ago between the 2 top teams in each conference, Oklahoma City Thunder and the Boston Celtics. And the Oklahoma City Thunder prevailed by 2 points.
They held home court.
Yeah.
But they play again coming up in Boston.
Good
good young core.
Yeah.
But have they learned to win yet?
That's definitely a surprise team.
So when we look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm getting shades of the Oklahoma City Thunder
from back with Durant
back in the day.
During their young days.
Yes.
Because they had all those draft picks back then.
Exactly.
Before Harden became big-headed.
Yeah, well, when he was a six
I remember
man.
when Durant fought to get Harden, and I couldn't believe they wanted Harden that high in the draft.
When he was a 6 man. But I'm getting shades of that.
Yeah.
And we all witnessed what happened to that team.
Small market, can't afford them when their contracts are up.
That's right.
But they got a million other draft picks too, so trade them. And
this is what you do. You basically you need to follow the script that the Boston Celtics did, because the Boston Celtics were in a very similar situation. You remember when Danny Ainge had all those number 1 picks? You just keep those guys. And you somehow find a way. Those guys that you're not sure, you put them down. You put them down in the G League, and you bring them up and you bring them down. But you keep them close. Because you never know when
they develop.
You never know when injury is going to happen. After that first year, you bring them up. You let them find their way. You mesh them in. The key is you want your top 2 players, and then you because you're going to end up you're going to end up paying a third. And then you got to get all those small pieces in between. You're going to have to let some of those guys go. You're not going to keep them. You're not going to keep them all.
But you got time to see what rises.
That's
to the top.
Right.
Hey, I gave everybody.
That's
guys
right.
that were in my rotation didn't get it done. They failed in the playoff. I got these guys in the G League. I'm going to let this guy go. I'm going to put him in a trade.
Six straight years, the Celtics had multiple number 1 picks.
And that's what OKC did.
All right.
And they still got those picks.
6 straight years. So you remember the Celtics were getting, I'm like, why are they drafting another guard? Because they had those picks in place, so they can afford to see what they have. And then as luck would have it, you have the Romeos and all these guys that you drafted number one,
Naismith.
the Naismiths. These guys were all like the same players, but they were basically putting them in line for competition to battle with one another to see who's going to rise, who's going to stay there. And in the meantime, other players free up from other teams, that aren't number ones, but that could be number twos or 2As, and you can slide them right into it. And what ends up happening is those players become pawns for those players that you need to put in the other spots. Because let's face it, year after year after year after year, you're not going to be able to keep 4 or 5 number ones.
No.
You have to make a decision on probably your best 2 and keep your third close by. And then now it's all pieces that you're going to be able to fit into to see that are good. You might hit on a second rounder. You might hit on a third rounder. You don't know. But it's good to have them there than not have, because you can always use them for pieces to
And you know what I think they'll do with those pieces, like you're saying? They got 2 and 3 number ones for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And 2 and 3 number 2. So they're like the Celtics are now, are too good to get a high draft pick anymore.
Yeah.
So what happens? You package up those picks and go after somebody in the top. If you can't afford to pay one of those dudes, or somebody else doesn't, if you need to add another piece to win right now, you package up all 3 of your first round picks to move into the top 10, and you get another good piece, and you're already good, because you don't got 3 number ones that are going to make that roster.
No.
So gamble, move up a little higher, and start like the Celtics eventually, when they were in the playoffs now, their picks are all in the late teens or early 20s. We're not getting an impact player right there. So I'll trade him to another team, and you have to take this high salary guy with you so I can pay my stars or something.
Yeah, you got to make it fit.
But you're not going to get 3 starters, so why keep 3 picks? You can't keep all 3.
No.
So I trade for the future, or I would trade to move up to get another impact player.
It sounds good, but then when you put it into play, it doesn't come out that way.
It doesn't,
It
but
doesn't come out that way. No, I'm saying to have the number 1 picks.
yeah,
It sounds. Oh, we've got all these number 1 picks.
yeah.
But you're not going to keep them all.
No, you
You're
can't.
not going to keep them all.
And you don't want to waste them all their prime years in the G League if they're people that can help you. But I'll say I'm not getting nobody this late. But I don't know. They own other people's picks too, and all.
Yeah.
So their pick's going to be, but they might own somebody else's pick that's good. But I would be like, yo, say we needed a power forward. I'd be like, okay, or some depth on the bench. I'm taking the best power forward or a backup point guard. I'm trading number 18 and number 22 in order to move up to number 12. And I get that piece that I need. And that guy can play right away.
For me, what sticks out mostly for that team is the lack of rebounding. That's what concerns me.
Don't they have a big man?
They have a big man. They have a few big men.
Don't they have a big man that should be rebounding?
They're leading rebound and shot blocker, but he plays small forward position more. But they don't have a banger.
No, they don't.
So that's the piece I would go after, because their backup point guard is the rookie from Kentucky, Cason Wallace, and he's pretty good.
Yeah.
So Gilgeous SGA is playing out of control.
Oh yeah,
he was my number 1 pick in fantasy, and everybody was laughing. I was like,
he might be the MVP right now.
yeah,
no,
he's in the argument.
He's in the running.
But the whole thing is, that dude's a beast. He's not just scoring 30 a game.
He does it all.
He's averaging 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, a block. He's the point guard, and he's a 6'5" point guard.
The thing that
tough,
most impresses me is he doesn't get sped up, and he gets to his spots wherever he needs to
He
go.
seems like he gets to the elbow of the foul line, and he penetrates whenever he wants. But you know who the sleeper is on that team to me?
The other dude, what's his name?
Jalen Williams.
Yep.
And I got him too. I got all 3. I got Chet. I got him. But I got Chet in like the 3rd or 4th round because nobody believed in him but me. But Jalen Williams, I got like in the 9th round. That dude's averaging like 15 a game.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing that concerns me with them is the rebounding. You can't if you're going to be a good team, you have to be a good rebounding team, because that will come back to bite you in the ass once you get to a 7-game series. Teams will seek that out. And the rotations get small. I tell people all the time. Eddie put me in a thread with Oklahoma, and I told the guys, says, they played a good game. I said, they did what they were supposed to. They were supposed to win it. I said, but I don't put too much into East versus West, different conferences, because you only see them twice. Now, if it were somebody that played within their own division, in their conference, because it's a lot different. You're playing teams 5 times. All right, non-division, you're playing them 3 times. If that were the case, and I seen them 5, then I'd be more concerned. But it's like there's small things, small subtle things that I seen that was like, okay, yeah, Celtics could have improved there. They could have improved it. Brown was 0 for 3-point. He was like 0 for 8. Drew Holiday had a bad game. And they barely lost 2 points.
Was it 3 points?
Was it 2 or 3?
I think it was 3.
It was one possession. But I said, I said, kudos. I give it to them. I said, I think when you see them play in another month and a half when they play in Boston, I said, I think Boston will beat them by double digits. Boston plays a lot better at home. And I don't think that I'm going to go out on a limb to say that both Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown won't have bad games together again. But the thing that concerned me most was Boston had, I want to say, 13 offensive rebounds. And Boston's not really a good offensive rebounding team because they take a high volume of shots. Boston out-rebounded them. I think it was 13 to 5. And then the rebounding, the defensive, even the defensive rebounders, Boston out-rebounded them. So that's concerning. You can't give up possessions like that, especially when as you go on in rounds. That's concerning. So they need to go out. For me, they need to go out and they need to get another somebody that is going to specialize in rebounding. They brought up a good point when I was watching the Celtics broadcast. I did a thing last week, and I did it on the spur of the moment. I've got the league pass. So what I like doing is I like watching it from the perspective of the home team.
Yeah.
I won't watch it from from Boston. I like watching it to learn what their announcers are saying.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing they touched upon. They said they have to rebound against Boston. They can't let Boston win the offensive rebounding like they have been doing, and shoot a high percentage. And then I switched it back to Boston, and I started listening to Scal. And I was doing one quarter, just to see the the comparisons and the contrast, and they were both pretty much spot on. And Scal, I thought, brought up a very intriguing point. They said the one person that could change that team is a player that's been mentioned in trade details now, trade discussions now for the last 2.5 years. And he plays for the Indiana Pacers.
Wait, say that again.
He said
Miles Turner.
There you go.
He was in trade last year.
Last 2 years.
But because of the Sabonis came up for Halliburton, that wasn't planned.
Yeah.
But Halliburton wasn't going to be the lead guard.
No.
With De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
So they were like, and he took it as disrespectful. I was like, it's not. He wanted to stay there. He loved playing with them guys. But he got a chance. That was the best thing that could happen for both teams.
Yeah.
So they said, we don't want Miles Turner. We want a young guy. They wanted Sabonis. Sabonis going to them gave them what they needed. So that meant Miles Turner had to stay for at least another year. But depending on what they get. So he was on the trading block last year, but the Kings just flipped it to we want Sabonis. They didn't want to trade Sabonis.
He's not on the trading block for the last 2 years.
Yeah. The last 2 years, he's been a hot topic of discussion to trade. But Scal said if they were to get someone like him that could give them 10 and 12, 10 and that the points didn't even make a difference because they've got enough shot makers on that team where if he can just get 10 rebounds,
block a few shots,
if he can get 10 rebounds, that would be enough to put him there, to contend with somebody like a Denver. If you notice, they always struggle against the bigger teams. Lakers, Lakers played them. I want to say 2 times this year, and 2 times they beat them. And you shouldn't expect that from the Lakers because the Lakers are struggling themselves. But when they play against the bigger wings and stuff like that, they struggle. And like I said, I went from the OKC announcers and then right over. It was a perfect segue. And the third quarter, I was in the scout, and he said, he said they've got enough shot makers, enough young guys, with Shea, distributing the ball and guys spotting up for threes, and they've got enough. They need to go out now and supplement their team by adding a rebounder, somebody who's going to strictly concentrate on rebound.
They got to buy into that role too. His ego of trying to be like the second, most important guy. He would go on that team.
He would go on that team and be like the fifth, easily. But you have to put you look at Drew Holiday, right? He went from a team where he was like 2A, 2B, right? Now he goes to a team where he is like fourth, like the fourth.
Do you think he's doing enough? Because I felt like I thought he was capable of giving more to the Celtics, and I feel like he's holding back.
He doesn't have to.
I know it's just not the same player.
So I watched games where
not even noticing the defense.
I've watched games where Tatum was out or Brown was out. That's when you see him open up. That's when you see him be more aggressive. And he looks for his offense. He looks to manufacturers and he forces it. But with those other guys around, he's just coasting. I think he's
got the great mindset to be on a winning team. Boy.
He's just coasting.
He doesn't need to do much.
No, you don't.
Because he can contribute in so many other ways. Yo, just go shut that dude down and score 8 points, and they'll be like, yo.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He doesn't.
Don't turn the ball over. Yeah.
So you know who he was guarding when they played against OKC?
Probably a big man.
Chet. He was guarding Chet.
No, I thought he should have guarded SGA because the size.
He was in the
first
half, but then he was kind of having his way. He was beating him to the spot, and then he was finishing. So what they did was they made a switch at the mid third quarter. They put Jason Tatum because of the length and the size.
And he's got the quickness to stay with him.
And it worked. It did work out better. And they put him on Chet. All they did was they swapped him. All they did was they swapped.
You know what that did to Chet, though? Chet is a big man, but he can put the ball on the ground. And that Holiday probably took that away because he was too quick. He couldn't get by him.
Well, the thing was, every time he turned, he just put his forearm on his hip, and you're not going nowhere. Yeah. You're not going nowhere. And when he did put the ball down, he went for a strip right away.
But the thing I liked about Chet, he didn't have a great game throughout, but when it came crunch time, he's got to hit the big three. Like, he wasn't afraid. He
wasn't afraid of the moment.
That whole team is very unselfish.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. Chet only had like 14 points that game, I think. And in the fourth quarter, he had 2 crucial baskets.
Yeah, he had that 3. The lead was actually
and some nice blocks.
The lead was actually 3 points, 2 points, and then he hit the 3-pointer to put them up by 5. And then the Celtics came back down, and White hit that shot in the corner to bring it to 2 points. And then the Celtics they had to scramble and foul because it was only like 4.6 seconds or whatever it was. They had to scramble to foul, and then it became a free throw shooting contest. But he wasn't afraid of the moment, which is huge because a lot of guys shy away.
I think him and SGA, that's what's going to make them tough in a couple of years. You got 2 guys that ain't afraid of the moment, so you can't key on one.
Yeah, no, he's
Here's a couple years will they be able to keep him.
Yeah, because SGA's in like his 3rd or 4th year of his contract. Because when he came over from the Clippers, he played 1 year and then signed a big contract.
It's gonna be challenging. But listen, there's no substitute for a guy who can block and stretch the defense. Yeah. And that's today's NBA. It's today's NBA. A guy who can step out and shoot the 3, and then a guy who's going to give you 3-4 blocks a game. There's no substitute for that.
Now, I feel like everybody clowns him about being small, but every year he'll put on 10 pounds. In 2 or 3 years.
I don't know about 10 pounds.
10 pounds.
That's a lot of.
All right, let's just say he puts on.
No, I'd say
5 to 7 pounds a year.
3 to 4 pounds. Because look at Porzingis. Porzingis has been in the league 8 years, 9 years, and he has not put on any weight. That's a different position. He's a big tall.
Yeah, he's
I wouldn't
74.
expect him. I wouldn't. His body frame is not like Shaquille
Yeah,
O'Neal's.
it's like what's his face from San Antonio.
But-
He's not gonna put on.
No, he's not going to put on a
And
lot of weight.
Durant
either.
never put on weight.
No,
but he
Durant
wasn't.
never put on
But
weight.
Durant wasn't a big man either. He was just big size.
Yeah.
But
I think for his body frame, if by the end of his career he puts on 20 years, that'll be 20 pounds. That'll be saying something.
KG, he put on a little bit, but not much.
no, but it looked like a wiry definition. It wasn't bulky, but just where you're not getting out strength all the time. You're not getting pushed off the post. You're not getting
That's what
held with that forearm
Yeah.
from Drew Holiday. You
That's
can
what,
fight.
that's what KG did.
Yeah.
KG.
So I don't think it has to be drastic, but I think eventually,
Yeah, no,
if he gets 10 to 15 pounds heavier, it's going to be all muscle. So he'll have a little bit of added strength as long as he doesn't lose that
well,
mobility.
they're going to. I mean, that's all part of the. That's all part of his plan. Is listen. Eventually, we got to get you stronger. We got to get you in the weight room. And it'll happen. With maturity.
Yeah.
Just with maturity, it'll come up. Look,
Get
look,
his man strength. Well,
look at a perfect.
Remember, he's only 20 years old.
a perfect example is Jason Tatum, right? When he came in, you show the baby face pictures of him, being really thin, as opposed to now he's got broad shoulders. His arms are defined now.
Yeah.
And it just happens with time. But with him, he's more along the center type. I think the weight will come on, but it'll be a little slower.
his balls still hasn't even dropped yet, man.
I just like the position they're in for the,
Well, yeah,
for the next foreseeable future.
They're in a
And they got good management, so they don't make too many
definitely are.
wrong calls.
But the thing is, they can't keep people because they don't have that money.
Yeah, it's going to be.
They got to be creative.
You gotta hit when you use those draft picks and you're doling them out for other pieces. It's gotta hit.
Can they do what the NFL does and like throw money down the road and defer payments like that? When we said when you broke down how Dak got paid,
Yeah,
maybe they don't have to eat it all at once.
You can do that in baseball.
football's different
You can
because
do that in baseball.
football. Yeah, you can do it.
I just didn't know what it was in the NBA. I was like, what?
Basketball is one of the better sports with their contracts because their contracts they're pretty much in the line of being guaranteed, and the money is all right there. There's no hiding money and putting it here and putting it there. The money's all up front. I'll say it.
Bobby Bonilla deal.
I'll say it again. In the last 7 to 10 years, the NBA players are probably, as far as money wise, is one of the best sports. Baseball, you see your money right away, even when you're in the minors, but it just takes so much more time to get there. NBA is as soon as you hit that draft room, the money's yours. Boom. There's no waiting. NFL,
NFL's got it so that it's tiered. Yeah.
NFL's tiered.
You already know what you're making.
That's right.
Where am I getting picked?
NFL's
so many
tiered.
long faces on draft night.
If,
I'm losing money.
if you're not within, the first round, your money's capped. You're capped, and you're pretty much, you have to go out and improve. NBA, no, it's right there. It's right there, and it's all there for you. They become one of the better leagues to play for with less restrictions. But yeah, and moving forward, they need to hit. They need to hit whatever they do because those draft picks are going to come up fast, and you almost can't. Whatever you use it for, you have to have a place and plan. And like I said, look at the Celtics. It was like we'll keep a guy. Those other guys didn't pan out. We'll keep them, and then we're pawning them off. It no longer turns into a first round. It could be a third rounder. It could be a player, somebody who's a buy. Somebody who's disgruntled. We'll give you a second rounder plus this player. You just got to, like you said, you got to be creative and strategic in how you use.
And they're going to have to be creative this year because it's not a strong draft. There's not one dominant player that's the consensus number one. Like last year, everybody knew Wemby was going to be number one. You can't even tell me who the number one pick's going to be this year.
No, next year, I think
so. They might
next year. That kid from the kid that plays in
that's going to Duke.
Yeah,
the kid from Maine.
Yeah, he'll be probably let's see what he does in college.
Mm.
I know he's dominating in high school. In prep, we'll
Hell, so starting five got Division I offers.
But
The point guard,
even guys off the bench.
we've seen
Like
this
the
happen
Mather.
before. Guys going to college and then they just kind of level out. So
and there's going to be a lot of talent at Duke. So to walk in and try to be the man right away as a freshman, they're going to still have some talent there. That's a factory.
After not for nothing, but after watching Duke play this weekend, yeah, he's gonna come in and be the one.
I didn't even see.
Oh, they got a strong recruiting class.
But he's still gonna be.
But
he's the
because
best
of
one.
him, they got two other people that they all wanted to play together. Like two other All-Americans are coming in with him.
Yeah, he's still gonna be. He's tough, man.
Cooper Flag.
He is.
He's tough.
He's so. I would like to liken him as a combination of maybe he's got a combination of a nasty streak in him.
Yeah.
With the ability to shoot
And put the ball on the floor.
and put the ball on the ground, which I haven't seen a lot of Duke players have. It's usually you have one and you have the other.
Yeah.
You don't have all three packaged up in a big guy like that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen. I've seen it, and we've seen it in North Carolina guys, but not in Duke guys. You're either a shooter or a low post guy. North Carolina, they seem to have those guys that are all around, polished all the way around. But yeah, he's got it. He's definitely got it. But he's still a year away, so we'll wait and see. So it was just announced today that Draymond Green is going to be
Allowed to practice.
Yeah.
Big difference.
But
He's only missed 11 games so far.
But they never gave it a number.
Right.
No.
But it's far more. It's
Never.
20 minimum.
They never really gave it.
All they're saying is he's allowed to practice in the vicinity. When Ja Morant was suspended,
Yeah, we
he
knew
practiced every single day.
Yeah,
He was never away from the team.
Really?
we knew.
I thought he was supposed to be away from the team.
No, John Morant was away from the team.
Yeah.
They said he was practicing a month before he came back.
No, he was separated from the team. No. So we're talking about the initial suspension. The initial once he served, and then
Once the league started,
once-
he's gonna be next to the team.
yeah, once
He can do training camp.
Yeah.
No, he was suspended part of last year
going into this year.
into this year.
Yeah.
So he can do training camp, but once the league starts,
Yeah, he couldn't.
But the difference is they said Golden State and Draymond mutually said to stay away from each other. So he's not practicing. He hasn't been around the facility at all. He can't play, but he hasn't been in contact with nobody.
He had
Nothing.
to fulfill his treatment first. That's what it was.
Mental treatment.
Yeah.
He's not injured physically. So.
And you know the sad part about it is Draymond. I mean, he's.
I think it's for attention now because he's grasping at what's left of his career.
I will give him another incident.
I believe
I will
so.
give him
He's gonna
another.
come back, be a
I will
good
give
guy for like the first month and a half.
I don't care. I'll give him another incident. It's going to happen. In what form or how it's going to happen, we'll be talking about him because we haven't even hit the halfway point.
He's gonna do the Antonio Brown take his shirt off.
Yeah. See you later.
Yeah, I would say one of these days, everybody keeps gambling on Antonio like they're gambling. Golden State's gambling, and they're going to get it right. They're going to say, "I'm tired of being immature," and like Antonio Brown. That's why I'm hoping that doesn't happen to Ja. Because look at Memphis's team since Ja came back.
No, so this is the thing. If the team, and I think if the team, as well as his dad.
We haven't heard his dad's name
Well, no,
all year either.
Well,
the crazy part about it, he wasn't brought up in the hood.
No, but he wanted that. He wanted that mentality. He
I know,
wanted
that's
that
crazy.
reputation.
No.
Why?
Because it's a thing. It's you sit there and you see this
This image.
social media stuff, and you want to be down. It's immaturity. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
It's immaturity. But if one of my criteria for him coming back, I would treat him like Pac-Man Jones. You're gonna have a mentor. Literally, you can have a mentor. If it's somebody that's out of uniform, or if it's somebody that can help you along the way, You know what I'm saying? We know Derrick Rose already said I ain't going to be no damn. So maybe it's Marcus Smart.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he's
Maybe it's
back
Marcus
now.
Smart.
So
Maybe it's Marcus Smart.
and he's a
As-
strong enough personality to get
as
through.
well as have somebody off the court to make sure, hey, listen, check in with him on a daily basis and make sure his head is in the right space.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's when it comes down to it, he's your investment. He's an investment.
I think it's the people he's hanging out with.
Exactly. There you go. So you cut that off. You remember? We all remember.
Carmelo Anthony.
No. One even better than that. We all remember the crazy karate owner for Philadelphia when he said
Before Harold Katz.
Yeah, before him, the dude that was crazy that maybe Barry knows it. Who was the owner that was the crazy owner that was there when Allen Iverson was there and he approached all his boys?
The dude with the glasses.
Yes, who approached all his boys and said, "Listen, I know y'all are boys and everything. This is my boy. Y'all better take care of him or there's gonna be a problem."
Yeah.
Right? You got to get down
I
like
can't. I can see his face, and I can't remember his name.
I forget his name, but
Not
he was
Pat, I
crazy.
don't
He was into
Yeah.
karate
Yeah, I know.
and he wanted to get into all kinds of things. But yeah, you gotta have somebody
Shit.
like
I know
that.
exactly what you're talking about. I can see him.
You gotta have somebody like that that's gonna be like listen, this is
Not only do I got the money,
yeah. No, he's
I got the backbone. To
he's
come.
an investment, and he's a long-term investment, and you got to keep him safe. That's what it boils down to, and that's what you got to do. If you want him around and you want to be in the league for a long time, that's what you got. Croce, is it Croce?
Pat Croce.
Pat Croce.
Yes.
Yep.
I knew
Yep.
that's
his name.
Yeah.
That's his name.
Hey,
yeah.
funny. It just came up.
Yeah, when you said Pat, I started
Pat, I just couldn't
thinking,
think of the last.
I was
started
like Pat.
thinking, and I'm
when
like-
you
I'm
said
like,
Croce,
yeah.
I knew right away. But
Yeah,
Pat, for
yeah.
some reason,
Yeah,
didn't
he
ring
was
a
crazy.
bell.
He was crazy. But yeah, you gotta have that mind frame when you have players that are that are going down that.
Yeah, I ain't dealing with this. I'm telling you,
nah.
I'm investing in you. You ain't messing up my investment.
Hey, not to switch it up, but Tyreek Hill's house on fire.
Yeah, accidental. A kid playing with matches.
Lighter. They said a lighter.
Yep.
They said
That's
a lighter.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already saw it. Root accidental.
Yeah.
He's getting a switch.
Yeesh, yeah. You don't want to go down that route.
You're already dealing
He
with
did it
child
already.
support with like 19 babies, mamas. And
Didn't he do it already?
Well, it was supposed.
that was Adrian
yeah,
Peterson.
that's
Don't bring
what-
it up.
Adrian Peterson, but he did it too. So
No,
he
it
did something
was-
too.
It was no. It was his
He snatched him by the
His
forearm.
girl said that the kid's arm got broken. Was saying that it might have been him, and he got cleared of all that.
No, yeah, I know.
He got cleared of all that.
Money cleared it.
But yeah, I don't know. Whatever the case is with him. Real quick, sports. You wanted to talk about the possible teams and
Year-end awards, like best team performance, best male athlete, best female athlete. Who would you recommend? Like if we say best male athlete of the year.
I'm gonna go for female. I'm gonna go with
I'm gonna go.
Sha'Carri Richardson.
She was on my list.
I'm gonna
I
go-
wrote 3.
I'm gonna go with the chick from Iowa.
That was my first one. Even though she didn't
Caitlin
win,
Clark.
she was the most
Caitlin
dominant. Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
But you know who we left off that was the most accomplished out of all of them? My third pick, Simone Biles.
Yes,
Set the
yes.
record for most
Came back,
medals.
yes.
Won the all around the floor. She won everything at the World Games. Sha'Carri Richardson is a 100-meter person, and she's a relay. She only has 2 events.
Yeah.
But
What about the chick?
Simone Biles is winning everything, no matter if there's uneven bars, balance beam.
What about the chick that was the golfer there? I don't know, tennis player that was.
Coco Gauff.
Yeah.
She had a good year, but I looked at all of them, and I thought Caitlin Clark had the most dominant year until I looked at Biles' accomplishments. Matter of fact, where did I have it?
You know he's old school. He got cue cards.
Simone Biles, individual and all-around gold at the 2023 World Championships. And she surpassed the all-time medal count, 33 gold medals.
We're gonna have to show Steve that on his phone there's a notepad where he can input all his notes.
You know what happened?
We're
I
gonna
was
have
running
to show.
around today, and I was at school because I didn't start researching. Usually I start researching early in the week. Today I was at lunch like, oh, damn, tonight's the show. And I was just trying to write things down so I wouldn't forget them. And then I came home and fell asleep, so I didn't transfer it. But what about male athlete of the year? Because we got a few more categories:
The-
UFC,
The
boxing.
kid, the kid from Lyles, the track and field athlete.
The who?
Lyles.
Oh, that's up there with Sha'Carri Richardson. I forgot his name, but he's winning everything.
Lyles. I don't remember his first name, but his last name is Lyles.
Because they had a battle against like the old school. They were talking about not getting respected, and they were
He's 100 and 200 with that guy.
I'm trying to think.
I'm thinking about the people who were winners in football, Jalen Hurts and Mahomes, but I don't think that was crazy years. Baseball, last year, Ohtani didn't win enough, so you can't really.
Yeah, but you can definitely give it to Ohtani. Ohtani didn't win enough,
he's up there.
But he home runs MVP, bro. Like
basketball, it has to be Jokic, even though Embiid had a great year, but Jokic won the championship.
Ohtani was the best player in baseball.
He was.
And he dominated baseball.
So right now, I'll give him the lead up on everybody else we mentioned.
He definitely dominated baseball.
There wasn't really somebody dominant in hockey. The track and field guy, just not known enough. Yeah. Jokic, but Jokic wasn't on the level of Ohtani. What about boxing? Who had the best year in boxing that you?
You got to give it to Haney.
I think he's getting his due now, and he's this close to signing with Garcia.
Just for the simple fact, he beat Dude twice.
He's tried to fight all the best people, so he's not running.
He fought Loma. No, well, he beat the dude twice. It wasn't last year.
Cambooses. And he beat him in Australia.
But that was 2 years ago. That wasn't last year, right? That was 22.
No, it was last year because the second time I was in Florida for the Dolphins, and so it was last season that he fought him the second time.
But then he beat Loma, which I don't think he beat him, but
yeah, but still looked good enough to win. And now he's linked to fight. Wait a minute, he just beat somebody after Loma though, right? Didn't he just have something recently? Yeah, he went up to the 140 and took that title against the guy that looked at Progress.
Yeah, he looked awful.
Yeah, and now the only reason he's fighting Garcia is because of the money, because Garcia's a cash cow. So how do you lose and then get a title shot?
Because he moved up.
He didn't look good against Tank. So I can't see you not looking good and moving up. I was dehydrated, which he could have been. Yeah. But I don't think it's going to make a difference moving up. I think he's good, but I don't think he's great. All right. How about just team then? What team performance? Because I can't think of a pro one. I mean, Brian mentioned Denver earlier.
Maybe Denver, KC.
I'm going college and saying UConn, men's basketball.
Atlanta Braves.
They didn't win it.
Who won it last year?
Atlanta lost early in the first round of Philly. Yeah. Philly won it.
Atlanta and the Dodgers.
Didn't Philly win it?
No, I think Philly ended up losing.
Who did Philly play from the American League?
Astros?
Yes.
Maybe, and it went 7. Was the Astros down and came back and won it in the 7th?
I think so.
Yes. Astros.
But team sports, I was shocked how good UConn did, and we were talking. Said, how come
men, right?
Yeah, UConn men or LSU women, but I thought UConn men was more dramatic because they weren't expected to challenge for the national champ. They were like the number 12 team in the country and went on a run, just like they always. Every time they win it, they go on a run. They're never the number 3 team in the country and win it.
Yeah. All right, so we'll sign out of here and
go home and not watch football.
Yeah, there's no more Thursday football.
And I think there's only 2 games in the NBA, so I guess it'll be an early night.
I can watch it because I got league pass.
Yeah, I can watch.
I did this thing. But yeah, no, I said, you know what? I said, you know what? They had a little discount. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it. So every night I've been watching good games. I've been watching good games every night.
It's nice when you can just pick out the best game that's on, because I don't always watch my favorite team play. I said, what game will I enjoy the most?
Yep. So now I have that ability. And what's good about it, unlike football, it's not just 1 or 2 games per week, 1 game a week really, because you get to watch the Monday, the Thursday. You can just, you no matter what time of night it is, if it's 9:30, you know what? I can catch a Midwestern game. I can catch a West Coast game. Just turn it on and watch it. And like I enjoy. I never thought I would, but I enjoy listening to the different team announcers and to see their perspective as opposed to a TNT a broadcast where you're going to hear pretty much the same thing always. So that for me is different. So that was my New Year's gift to myself.
Nice. Are you gonna get the NFL package?
Yeah,
They're offering
$39 for I was like, for what, 1 week?
For 2 weeks.
I don't. You know what?
Everybody gets the playoffs.
So it's a waste of time for me to get it because number one, the Cowboys are always on TV. Always on TV. Out of the 17 weeks this year, I think they made it to prime time 11 times, either 10 or 11 times. So
better go with the ratings, right?
So I don't. So it'd be a waste of money for me. So yeah, I stay away from that. But yeah, so yeah, we complete another week, and as you know, we have a couple events coming up.
Oh, hey. February 9th, we have like the pre-Valentine's comedy show. As you know, we're back in New Bedford at the Whaler Inn and Suites Ballroom. Had a nice crowd for the last one. Took December and January off. We're revved back up. We're ready to go. Headliner JP Justice, hosted by my man Chris Tabb, who's unbelievable. A lot of people that's been to our shows over the last 5-6 years, they've seen Brian Bowden a couple of times. This guy's a beast. So when he's not headlining, you know that's a good show because he's capable of being a headliner. So we got JP Justice, we got Brian Bowden, Chris Tabb hosting. Then we come back. It's a little ways away, March 30th, same location, New Bedford Whaler Inn and Suites. Comedian hypnotist Frank Santos Jr. If you've never seen him, it's a different type of funny, and you won't believe some of the things you're going to see your friends and family do that night.
Go to his website.
Oh yeah, go watch the rated R or the PG.
You need to go to his website and physically watch what he does to people, and you'll be truly amazed. Truly amazed. So that's taking place.
You get a chance to have fun with family and friends and watch them do things that this guy's kind of conservative. Not tonight.
And yeah, this is on a Saturday too.
Oh yeah,
Saturday, March.
No
30th,
long work day.
Right? So you can plan your weekend around. Doors are going to open up at 7. Showtime will be at 8, and you can go to grab tickets for that event right now. The link's already online. Early bird tickets. Go ahead and grab it because this event is sure to sell out.
And of course, we have the hard copy tickets if you need them too. But if you need to jump on them right now, I'd say get your tickets as early as possible.
Yeah,
because everybody's going to want to see this show. Like this is something that's not done a lot, and it's going to be different. You're going to want to be there.
And don't forget, Frequency Live makes its first appearance this Sunday, right here on WMB1 Radio. Berto Carter and cast, they return back to the normal format of Sunday night right here on WMB1 Radio. So be sure to check them out this weekend, Sunday, that is. They'll be in full effect. I believe they're going to have their full cast of characters. So check them out 7 p.m. right here on WMB1 Radio.
I think there's one more event we forgot to mention, but I can't remember the exact date. But the Spanish Latin Chamber of Commerce, they're having something at the Harbor Hotel. Like a recruitment and to get to know what they're doing. I think it's February 10th. I saw Margarita and them, Janine. They posted it. But you can go on the WMB1 page and see more information on that. It's a Saturday from like 4 to 7, like a meet and greet and stuff like that. But, trying to build up the Latino Chamber of Commerce, and they're going to do some big things in the not too distant future.
All right. With that being said, we're going to end this segment, and we hope to see you here next week, as well as make sure you go and download the WMB1 Radio app. All right. It's available on all platforms, or you can go to WMB1.com.
February 10th.
All right.
February 10th, yeah.
February 10th.
I just wasn't sure.
Right.
I knew it was something.
All right, we're out of here, and hopefully we'll see you all next week right here on WMB1 Radio. Straight to the points. We're out.
I would like to introduce.
Okay, let's go.
New Bedford's new online radio station.